You are listening to episode 400 of the Comics Pals. We are a group of comic book journalists and friends who do a podcast together because we don't talk enough about comics in our daily lives.
Wow. It activates a joke in me that's like, or an attempt at a joke that's like a sleeper agent. Like for our number one pick, you started it was slightly different, and I still had the urge to.
You said that, and I'm like, must kill John Lennon. Like, it was just
That's
like
it.
weird.
Just leave a little dead air, wait for it, butt clenched.
Thought I would go retro for this major milestone episode. That is how I used to start the show for probably the first, 300 and some odd episodes. And then one of the other pals would make a generally bad joke, and we would get into things. We would get into the show, and we've changed. Sorry.
Eventually.
Eventually.
I remember when you actively made that change. You were like, hey, guys, I'm going to start the show different. And then it never changed. It never went back.
Yeah. Yep. And it's been different for a while. Most of you now who listen to us, who hear us, know the new show. And I'm very thankful to all of you for being here for our 400th. Whether you joined us this year or last year or this month, whatever it is, we're really appreciative of you being here. 400 is a huge milestone, and we plan to celebrate. We've got giveaways going on. We've got a Discord giveaway that we're going to announce the winner of a little bit later. We'll probably do another giveaway here as well on the show. We're going to reveal the secret origin of the Comics Pals. And we are going to play a game of Jeopardy. Oh, okay. Chat saying there's a bad echo.
I think I know where to fix that. Hold on one sec.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I can hear it. That's pretty loud.
Yeah, it just popped up.
One sec. Hold on. We were playing with things earlier.
The fabled
Sean,
the fabled 100 episode Jeopardy.
Oh my goodness.
Yo, that was good times.
200? That's
think
what that
so.
was.
Was it? 200 was the Newlywed Game.
Oh,
That's right.
yeah.
I think it was.
I think that should do it. Let me know if that worked.
Yeah, I don't think so. I still hear it.
Well, it's gonna take a second.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully that's
Just talk
fixed.
normally, and I think that should.
Yeah.
Jess had a spicy comment that I won't repeat.
From that
About-
episode?
Yeah.
All right, that worked.
All right, we're good. Good.
We had all your submissions earlier, so I got a little creative with the thing. So apologies there.
That's right, Mike.
I am
Yeah.
very happy to see all of you guys in the chat, all those names. Shadow Walker said, I thought the echo was part of the show. Look, man, maybe it should be.
You know how we do. We've gotta shout this news across the world.
Yes.
From the mountaintop.
Atomic Count says the pals regularly echo through my head, especially the Invasion Book Club. So before we get into the proceedings, I want to say that today is a big day for us, as we all know. Episode 400 is huge. Most shows don't get to 400, and we did, and that's a testament to perseverance, but also to you guys, to the listeners. So very much the goal today is to celebrate us, celebrate you, and have a great time. We've all got our Comics Pals shirts on today.
Some are a little older than others.
Kale's got an OG.
You guys have your Comics Pals undies on too that I sent?
Oh, mine got lost in the mail.
Yeah, that didn't get to me yet.
Yeah.
I have my Marco bra on.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
right.
good.
Yeah. Okay,
Nice.
cool. Yeah.
I want to, before we even get into the secret origin of the Comics Pals, I want to start the show by celebrating the listeners. So I want to start the show by shouting out our patrons, the people who have been supporting us, the people that, show up every week, the people that, are keeping us afloat, with their support. I really, really want to start the show by saying thank you to these people, because you guys are amazing, and a lot of these names are names that have been with us for years. A lot of these names are people who've been. Some of them have been with us since Go. So a special shout out to the best pals in the universe: Thunderstruck Rebecca Alejandro, the Hound of Justice Atomic Hound, Starcross Catherine Stars, and the Red Spiral Storm. And I also want to shout out the Night Stalker Harris Dajinski, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, Momentum Mike Elliott, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Marley Manistorm, Slow Flow Dameron, Christian Uncaged Harriet, Always Laughing, the Spear of Justice, Izzy's Issues, the Great Destroyer Hyper Viper 89, the Storm of Pain Sanji San, Adam and Bernie the Best Boy, Robert Run It Back Cash It Back, Pete the Dreamweaver Collins, and Matthew Malice Price. There are
damn.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember when that list was, maybe four names.
Yeah.
4 or 5 names, and we've come a long way since then. There are a bunch of people that support us on Patreon who, we don't shout out every week, but I want to take a moment to thank them as well. Just because the monetary value of your support doesn't match these other individuals doesn't mean we appreciate it any less or it means any less to us.
We just don't have your name.
It's just too many people. It's too many. So huge shout out and thank you to all of you. And a lot of you are here right now. Okay. All right. Without any further ado, this is something that we have waited to do for a very long time. And that is discuss how we actually got together, why we do this, how we met each other, and all that stuff. We're going to spill some tea. I always thought if we did this, it would be on Patreon, but really I feel like this is something that we need to share with all of you.
Oh, thought it'd be on trial.
I wonder what kind of stink this is going to kick up, because remember the last time this came up in a public forum.
Oh, yes.
I'm also only slightly aware of the actual story. So this will be a podcast for me to watch.
Well, at some point you will definitely have a piece to add to this, but I'll start because I think I was the person that started at that place the earliest, the other place. So, and I'm going to use the name of the place. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to use the name of the place. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we set ground rules.
Yeah, we will not use the name of the person that owned the place, but we will use the letter J. All right?
Okay.
And that's how we will do it.
Right.
Trudeau.
Cool.
Prime Minister of Canada.
I had a podcast way back in like 2011, 2012 that no one has ever heard. And
wait, what?
It was me and a couple of my friends, and we did a show together for maybe a year, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was really cool, to me. And it ended. It ended because my friend's commitment level dipped. Unfortunately, one of them has a drinking issue, and he just was very unavailable. Very, very, very unavailable. So I was bummed out when it ended. And I started playing World of Warcraft again. And that was a mistake. But during
That's where Catherine comes into play.
Yeah. During those years, I met a guy. And that guy joined my guild and we played together and stuff like that. And he knew that I really loved comic books and everything else. So he told me that he worked for a website called ComicsVerse. That is the first time that name has ever been spoken on this podcast. So,
in any capacity, I think.
Yeah.
Frankly, after this episode, as far as I'm concerned, the last time it will be.
That's fair. That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Sean, who was the guy? Can you say?
You wouldn't know him.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter what his name.
Did he work there?
Yes.
Okay.
It wasn't.
I might know him then.
It wasn't Jay.
No, 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 no.
Okay. Oh, all
It's-
right.
Yeah, I played World of Warcraft with this guy. He happened to
other
live.
dude.
Yeah, he happened to live in New York and lived with Jay and worked at ComicsVerse. So he said, "Hey, you should meet Jay. Like, you should join. Like, you would love it. You fit right in." So there was a Comic Con called Special Edition New York Comic Con.
Best con I've ever been to.
Anyone who was there would say a similar thing. It was awesome. Stephen King was there. It was very, very heavily focused on creators, and didn't. I don't think it had any of the other stuff.
Just comic books. Yeah.
And I think it was in June. It might have been in June, and it was excellent. Scott Snyder was there. Like, so many big creators were there, but they actually had time
Yeah.
to talk to you and interact and engage. It was amazing.
Bendis was there. I got my first commission Thanos done by Ramon Perez.
Ooh.
Like, when Hawkeye was going on. That was a great con. The only problem was there were a lot of wharf roaches everywhere. But
Yeah, that is true. And so I went to Special Edition, and there was a very nice booth that had ComicsVerse on it, and they had a nice, banner and everything like that, and it was very put together, and I was impressed by that. Certainly, me at 24 years old, I couldn't even imagine going to Comic-Con and having a booth and being able to interview creators and all this other stuff. And so I went and met my friend, and that was the first time that we met in person. And then he introduced me to Jay. And Jay was a very, like, larger than life person. I am not saying that in a negative way. I'm not trying to denigrate him. He was a larger than life person with big time personality, life in him, excitement for comic books. And he was so happy to meet me. It felt like I was meeting a friend for the first time.
Mm.
And that was infectious for me. And he said, "Hey, we would love to have you. If you have, ideas for stuff you want to write about, feel free." And I told him the only thing I want to do for sure is I want to make sure that I can podcast, because I loved what I was doing and I want to do it again. I miss it. And he said, "No problem. We've got a podcast. You can be a part of it. You can even host your own show if you want to, whatever you want to do." And I was open. I couldn't believe that. A successful website that generates money is going to hire me and let me do what I want. This is crazy. I can't believe it. And he even gave me an Amazon gift card to use to buy books for the podcasts that we were going to be doing.
Wow.
on the spot, right then?
I think he sent me the code that day, like that night
That's
when I got
so
home
wild.
or something like that.
You didn't sign anything, right?
No.
Damn.
Yeah. So I joined ComicsVerse and I wrote an article about Secret Wars and why the original Secret Wars was so important to me. That was the first comic book I read. I wrote an article about whatever happened to the Man of Steel or whatever that's called. And I couldn't believe what I was involved with. I was so happy and excited. I felt like I found my home. And their base of operations was just a few train stops away from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And we would meet every week to get together to jam on writing these articles and do podcasts. And I was going to get to be surrounded by young people who loved comic books like I do. I was in heaven.
Dream, dude.
The dream.
How much you get paid?
So, I would say that it took a little while for me to realize that this wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. At first, it was amazing getting to write articles, doing these podcasts, but I quickly noticed that the people that were on the podcast weren't all as familiar with like deep comics as I was.
Mm.
For example, we did a podcast once, and one of the people on it, we were discussing Hush. So we showed up to discuss Hush and have, a deep conversation, an informative conversation about this book. And one of the people on the show had no idea who Jim Lee was.
Wow.
No idea.
And that's not to like gatekeep, but you're on a show about podcasts, or a podcast about comics. So,
yeah. Like, anyone who's a layperson not knowing who Jim Lee is, it's totally fine. But if you're going to be an authority on comics, you got to know who Jim Lee is. You just kind of have to know. It's Jim Lee.
Especially for that book, like what it means for that.
Right. Or, you realize, oh shit, I don't know who this artist is. Let me brush up before I show up to discuss this. What I'm expressing is that there was no vetting process. A lot of the people that were joining were considered to be interns, meaning that they were unpaid and they were just warm bodies to write articles or be on podcasts. And their experience level, their familiarity with the material was immaterial. That did not matter. New York Comic Con rolls around. I have gotten to a position where Jay, I almost said his name, where Jay really trusts me. Jay really trusts me. I'm one of his right-hand people. He listens to what I have to say. And he decides that at New York Comic Con, he wants me to run the floor. He wasn't going to do it. Physically, he wasn't in a position to be able to do that kind of thing. And also, he wasn't a forward leader like that. That wasn't his type of thing. He would call himself Cerebro. Like, he would stay in the house and lead from the chair and tell us what to do via Slack and all that kind of stuff.
He would call himself Cerebro?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, leading into Comic-Con, none of us, except for like 2 people, had done interviews. At that point in my life, I had never done an interview. So we needed some teaching. So Jay brought on someone named Pete, who I hadn't met yet, but was a new member of ComicsVerse, to teach us how to do interviews. To this day, I actually don't even know what Pete's knowledge of interviews was at the time. Like, I don't know why he knew more than any of us, but certainly Pete was the first person to give me some interview tips and stuff like that. I learned from him, on the outset.
And journalism.
Right.
His degree,
He was a journalism
yeah.
major.
Yeah.
Jay played a video package that night while we were learning how to interview people of one of the senior members of ComicsVerse, the most senior member of ComicsVerse other than Jay. He played a video of that person fucking up interviews.
That's right.
He played a video of that person interviewing Jenny Frison, who was a comic book artist.
Great artist.
And brilliant. Not knowing her name.
Yep.
Going like Jenny and then looking back at her banner to see what her name was. And he played a highlight reel of this dude's mistakes.
Was he there in the meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wasn't even there for this meeting, I don't think, unless it's
No, you weren't.
the one we had when I was there.
Yeah, you
but
weren't.
yeah, no, he that dude watched it every time.
Yep. And it was another early sign for me that something was wrong, because why would you do that? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But so he puts this guy on blast and is essentially shitting on him for all these mistakes, and he's telling us these are the things not to do. That is what Jay is saying to us. These are the things not to do. Know the person you're going to interview before you interview them, blah, 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 blah. So we get to New York Comic Con, and me, who has never interviewed anybody, never led the floor, never led a team at Comic Con, I am in charge of leading the team. Thank goodness I played World of Warcraft because I knew how to lead people. I knew how to manage people from the game. And so we did interviews. A lot of them were not very good because none of us really knew what we were doing. But we had passion. We had passion and we had desire. We cared about it. And so New York Comic Con went off mostly without a hitch. There were some embarrassments on my end. I made a couple of mistakes. Go ahead.
Can you say any of them?
I revealed one of them on Patreon in the episode that we did about what interviewing is like and how to sort of do that and our approach. I mean, to keep it very brief, I didn't really know how to handle the point between the interview and like the lull, like before and after the interview. The before you're supposed to use to sort of sweeten it up and make the person want to talk to you, and the after is let's exchange contact information, let's make sure that we want to speak to each other again type thing. And I just said something stupid. I put my foot in my mouth and I asked them, oh, how long have you guys been doing this, when they were gray-haired and grizzled veterans and clearly
That's right.
Honestly, with the right intonation, that'd be a great joke.
Wasn't a joke.
It's like Walt Simonson. So how long have you been doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Atomic Hound. Jenny Frizen covers on Harley Quinn are my mortal weakness. Yeah, they're very good. She is super talented, and this was about 10 years ago.
It's the only reason Hound's buying Harley Quinn right now.
Yeah, Chad Cowder, raid leading comes into real life.
Yep, you nailed it.
No
That's
lie,
what I was.
That should be on resumes because it is a job.
That's what I was. That's what I did for many, many, many years. All right, so New York Comic Con is a great success. ComicsVerse is rolling. Getting interviews with Scott Snyder, getting interviews with who was that guy? Whose name am I missing? Gabriel Hardman I got to interview at that time, which was super exciting.
Nice.
I interviewed Mahmoud Asrar for them. They interviewed Rick Remender a little bit later on. Just amazing stuff that was happening. And the downloads, holy shit. People were listening to this. The Twitter followers, everything else. Like a lot of people were listening. I could not believe the numbers. So I'm thinking, wow, money is really rolling in. I'm about to be getting paid. This is crazy. Couldn't believe it. At some point, I came to learn that Jay was buying followers and that Jay was buying listens and downloads. So the numbers weren't genuine. The numbers of the traffic wasn't fully genuine. I know that a lot of people knew about ComicsVerse and it was growing, but some of that growth was artificial. We didn't know that. Why did we need to know? Most of us were considered interns, right? These were kids in college. Yeah. Some of them were getting college credit. Some of them weren't, but none of them were getting paid at all.
Some were getting a thank you.
Some were getting a thank you. And some were getting treated like garbage. There was a guy, I won't say his name either, but you know who he is. He was editing the podcast at the time, and these were 3-hour, sometimes 4-hour affairs. And he had to edit every minute of those things for little to no pay.
And some of them had like 10 to 12 people.
Yeah, using the same mics, I'm guessing, too, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
And being forced to edit out all curses.
That's right.
And all ums and ahs and breaths and all that shit. Brutal. Brutal. At some point, I walk into ComicsVerse. I walk into Jay's apartment, which was our base of operation. And I meet Cale. Cale is we're in the living room, and Cale is, he's talking about something or other, and we meet each other. We won't go into all that stuff. That's for Patreon. We talked a little bit about that on Patreon. But I meet Cale, And at this point, Cale is a new member of the team, but Cale has, this deep history with comics. One of the few people that I've now met at ComicsVerse who actually like really loves comics and reads them on a weekly basis and seem to have the same kind of like connection to the medium that I did. Cale, do you want to take the baton?
Geez. Okay. So when I got and I think Marco will probably echo some of this. I found just a job advertisement. This was like an Indeed.com thing. And someone I got an email, and then I got like a thing that said, okay, this person will call you, and they did. I missed the call, and I was like, oh, I gotta get on this, because at the time I was thinking, it just left my mind, the really cool comic book website that was really popular that died right before we started. Comic Vine.
Comic Vine? I remember Comic Vine, but
It's not
I don't know
comic.
if
It's not
dead.
Comic Vine. Anyway, I was thinking, okay, yeah, very similar to Sean. This will be a place I can do reviews. I can set up a podcast. I can, and I've alluded to some of this stuff before, but I worked on a small Facebook page while I was in school called the Big Glasgow Comic Page. And we set up a radio show in a local Glasgow radio station. And so I would go, for 2 or 3 hours between Dundee and Glasgow and talk about comics. It was basically Pals Pulls, but legitimately on the radio with Scottish people. It ruled. And eventually we kind of got into a bad situation with the guy that ran it. He wanted to grow on like the con circuit, and we just didn't want to go that way. So I thought, okay, great, ComicsVerse will be the thing. And so I get the call, but I miss it. And now thinking back to who that call was to, I called I must have called back like 30 times. And I feel horrible about it. But it was well, her name is an initial. So
Okay.
Yeah. So
Love K.
called her like 30 times, and genuinely I still feel stupid about that. But I was excited, I was like, I can't miss this.
Cale, I got to the same Indeed thing as you did. That's how I joined as well.
Yeah. And we did the thing. We made the arrangement. Cool. I remember I interviewed Jay. I almost said his name. In my kitchen, I put on a tie. I did the whole thing. And he was like, great. In the interview, we started talking about like doing video content and stuff. And I was like, yeah, totally. I was like, I could be the face of ComicsVerse. Absolutely. And I think that's sort of what tipped me over, was that I was like ready and willing to do video content. Meaning I was ready and willing to go on the camera. And that was that. So I go to this guy's place, and we have the first big meeting. And we had a really good time. He would get pizza for everybody. There were drinks, and it wasn't like for me, it was never it was never a rager, but there it was a gathering of college students, and comics were involved, and we did, talk business to a certain degree.
Much like the early days of the Marvel bullpen.
Well, so uh so one of the first things that, and this is all jumbled for me, but one of the first things that sticks out to me was it must have been my second meeting with Sean. We met at Jay's apartment, and we were going to do just a bunch of work. We are going to blitz out a bunch of work. We got the green screen, we got the lights, we got the camera. And he put a stool in front of the camera. He said, "Great, sit down. We're going to shoot a video." I said, "Great." And then he wanted us to start rolling. Just talk about something. Okay, great.
No plan.
What am I going to talk about? So let's just talk about something. Talk about what you like. Okay. So he got frustrated because nothing was happening. There was no it wasn't working. It wasn't like we were just chugging along. And if you listen to the episode on Patreon, Sean and I had already kind of had like a terse interaction. And so Sean being there had already sort of set a certain bar. And I was like, okay, I'm sweating a little. It might be because this dude is here. It goes on. We get through it somehow. Eventually, as I recall, Jay was just like, okay, let's take a break. And then we just never got back to work. The other thing that stood out for me was that we started doing, I was involved with going and interviewing this guy, Arlen Schumer. And this guy is a Silver Age comic book historian. And so I spoke to him for 3 hours on the phone one night, and I told him I had a master's degree in comic books. And he got so mad. He got so mad because I had that, and I went to school for that, but he'd worked his whole life on comic books and doing these comic books. They should just give him a master's degree. And I was like, well, okay, I'm just here to ask you some questions about your work. I can't really control it. So Marco and I, and Pete and one other guy,
Yes.
we went upstate,
Couple hours.
somewhere. Yeah, the first time.
Yeah.
To go to an exhibit he put on, and we interviewed him at the exhibit. We got the footage and everything, and it was great. It was cool. It was cool to get to hang out with Pete. It was cool to get to hang out with the other guy. It was cool to get to hang out with Marco, obviously. And we had a really good time. Pete ended up being really frustrated at Jay because he had to go all the way back to Jersey, and this was a work event. Who's gonna pay for the traffic and the train ticket? That was a big contention. So another time we did a similar thing, but we went to this guy's house. Now this guy's house was chock full, and I mean full.
No wall was left untouched.
No space was
Yeah.
left untouched. I described it as a tomb of Silver Age comic memorabilia. Like a pharaoh's, if this guy goes, ain't nobody finding him in here.
Was it like the walls of a '90s TGI Fridays, except with comic
Yes.
stuff? Okay.
Worse. Because you know how it's tastefully done in a TGI Fridays? This was,
Ooh, okay.
yeah, that's, yeah.
Huge installations, just
Yeah.
the whole thing, statues.
So we did the interview. He ordered us some pizza at the place he lived above, and then we watched some Batman 66, and then we went home. Now, I was getting increasingly frustrated with this guy.
Jay. Or
With Jay, yeah, sorry. Mostly because of like sort of personal things. Jay was very good at, like Sean said, he had this big personality, this big, he was very friendly. He really wanted to reach out and to he made it seem like he really wanted to be your friend. And so I would text him. We would talk, we would chat. And so I would I would tell him stuff, and I would just like nothing crazy, nothing personal. I didn't know the guy that well, but like, I would vent to him and I would say things about our colleagues that I probably shouldn't have, admittedly. Like one guy had a really dumb employee photo on the website. And so I went off about that one day and he was like, "Are you okay?" And it was just like, yeah. Anyway, so we're talking one day, and a big thing in my life is comic book writing. Not unusual, right? If you've been around, but I've always been frustrated because I can't pay an artist, and I'm not comfortable just doing a Kickstarter with an artist in case that doesn't go through. There's all sorts of stuff behind that. But one day he was just like, "Why don't you just get an artist?" And so I said, "Well, why don't you just get ads for the podcast?" And he went off. You'd have thought I said something about his mother. Like, he was so offended. And I was just like, hold on. Like, what I'm saying is, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Why would you just say that to me? And he went, "Well, I was gonna give you the money to get an artist, so now I guess I won't." And I went, "You're gonna try and hold that over me like that? I'm not engaging with that. Absolutely not." And that was a real moment for me where I was like, okay, I think I actually see what this is. And then I started really like picking apart, like he would send a lot of like group messages, in the Slack that were like, "Okay, we're cutting back on alcohol because people are just going too crazy with the alcohol when they come over." And it just like, it was so much. And to me, it was unprompted because I never saw any of this stuff. So it just got more and more annoying. So we how far are we going with this, Sean? Are you going to Philly?
Yeah. Yeah. But don't go there yet unless,
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm tense at this point. And
that hasn't left you?
well, I'm tense about ComicsVerse at this point.
Okay, all right.
And that takes me to our ending point where we braid all this together, I assume.
Yeah. So I came through a different direction. I was prior to this working in music production. So I was working at music studios and I was doing editing work. I was production stuff. And so at the time, I was a really big fan of comics in general. And I was looking around the internet for Swamp Thing. Like, I want to hear more people talk about Swamp Thing. I had joined the Parliament of Trees Facebook group, the #1 space on Facebook for all Swamp Thing fans and Swamp Thing heads. And somebody had shared a link to the ComicsVerse podcast on Swamp Thing and that Alan Moore run. I think it was a couple, I don't know if it was the full thing, but it was a 3-hour long discussion. I'm like, these guys are going in on this conversation. They're dissecting the metaphors. They're dissecting the art. They're speaking intelligently about this stuff. This is the thing that I needed. I didn't need just another, multiversity review of, the art was good, the story was bad, and 5 out of 10, right?
Multiversity catching strays.
my fault. And I really liked at that time and with that episode, I liked the host, the aforementioned Jay, and the other people who joined. I don't remember if either Sean or Cale were on that one. I believe
Definitely
Pete
not.
believe maybe Pete. At any rate, the sound wasn't great, and I'm like, I'm sure we could do something about that. I'm in the middle of production. I'm trying to find more work. I'm trying to do podcast editing. At the time, I was working on a Parliament of Trees podcast, Parlapod. They had, because I think Swamp Thing was coming out weekly or monthly at that point, and so there'd be a monthly podcast. And I'm like, hey, I can do this. Oh, you need to, these are the things you can cut out. These are the production, right? I think I'd reached out. I didn't see an Indeed article. I'd hit somebody up, and I'd like to edit the show. I'm interested. I think there was on the site like intern information, and I was reaching out about that, and they said, yeah, cool. Love the energy. Love that you're coming in with an expertise, like, for sure. I interviewed with Pete. Pete and I got along really well. He was an image head. So we started talking about comics and again, that energy of just, well, he's also just super bombastic, right? Like, Pete's just a ball of energy. And so seeing him and chatting to him, and we're talking about comics, like, it went from an interview to, oh shit, I like Invincible, oh, I like Swamp Thing, but then also hear the news, here's Saga, right? Oh, I've been loving Saga, like, and you're going into these things. And immediately he's like, I like you, I'm gonna pass you on. I interview with Jay, hired, right? Cool. My role was to, on podcast days and video production days, because at that point you guys were just about to, or ComicsVerse was just about to start with video production, I'm there to set up lights, I'm there to set up cameras, I'm setting up mics, I'm setting up the mixer, I'm setting up the recording, right? I'm organizing all of this stuff. So I wasn't directly involved in the writing side, or I guess directly involved outside of, hey, once a month or once every 2 weeks we're doing a show. We need you to come in so you can set this stuff up. And that's where I think the first time I'd met Cale, and then Sean had come in for a separate episode because I wasn't coming in every week. And met Cale first. I feel like he was an ass to me somewhat. And
Oh, hey, look at that. Two of us feel the same way about our meeting with Cale.
I'm texting a third right now. Cale,
you guys must have
something
weird
about
energy about you.
Cale, I'm gonna text a third right now to get confirmation on that one.
But then I think afterwards it was a strong approach, and then afterwards it was like, no, I like this guy. Like we build a good rapport, and I think Sean immediately was like very serious here to do the job, like, and I think it was a Batman episode, and my boy likes Batman, and he came in to talk about that, right? And ready, and it was all just smart. And so I'm there setting up the mics. I'm fucking diving under wires, connecting. I'm like, oh, can you speak a little closer to this? Oh, I'm gonna need to turn you down, and adjusting the fucking. I got my headphones on, everybody. So I was there to organize all that stuff, And then afterwards, take it all down, and then we hang out. And that was how I would get to know the rest of these guys. And I never had the same issues just because I would never try to get as close. Like I was much more about enjoying and sitting around the community and getting to talk to all of these guys. And the and I was, at least, I guess, maybe compared to some of the other guys, I was also just content because Jay would, pay me a little bit on the side, under the table, pass me whatever, give me a quick Venmo of something, like, hey, I really appreciate that you came in to set all this up. And then when we started doing interviews, the lights, the camera, I took a lot of those notes, and I continued to build on that. So it also helped me build that experience and that expertise. And I was still doing music on the side, so I'm like, this is perfect. He let me borrow cameras at some point so I can record my shows. There was a lot that I was leaning on through ComicsVerse in terms of the production to help my own stuff. And some of the stuff that I even worked on ended up leading into the spin-off of the Parlapod podcast, where I was doing weekly comic book reviews because I really liked what ComicsVerse was doing, and I kind of wanted to keep doing it, but I wasn't yet joining and do it myself. And it was called Splurch, and it was a weekly comic book.
I don't even know this.
Do you not remember this?
Yeah.
I
This.
It was, I would do the audio engineering and cleanup for Parlapod, but on the side, one of the other co-hosts wanted to keep doing comics and weekly, and I joined him on that one. And so, again, weekly reviews on the grind of putting that out. And finally, after some time, I think I had talked to Pete. I'm like, hey, I want to try my hand at some of the writing. I have a lot of thoughts about the comics, and I think they gave me because the new Swamp Thing series started coming out. There was a new series from, I think, Len Wein had come back in, and like, you take these things. Image gives us these books. You're also an Image guy. Pete's gonna edit. You knock these out as well. And then I started to join some of the podcast episodes. I think I only did maybe 2 or 3, and there was one, Kale, I don't know if you remember, somebody said something about like the size of something, or this was too, we got, and we I guess we didn't know the word, and we got shit on for the entirety of the episode. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
I couldn't tell you what it was. It was something about metaphors.
Yeah, if it's what I'm thinking of, it was one of these people similar to this Arlen Schumer guy. Jay would pull in these people that were just like unknown to a fairly modern audience, and we would just both talk at them, and they would talk at us for hours and hours on end, and that was a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't as structured, and some of that initial allure came away, and then especially knowing that I wasn't yet helping on the editing side for that audio, just the production, but the video, that was when I really started to feel like the grind of it, because there was such a like a scatterbrain approach to how we're doing things, the number of cuts needed. It helped in the long term, but I think especially just for like our stuff and how we edit our own things, we get B-roll, all that kind of stuff. But it started to really get tedious and annoying, and then all of us, we got wrangled to go to our first con, like as a unit, right? We were the newcomers, because similarly the site was growing. Oh, we're seeing all these great numbers. Oh, I might have a direction here. It's not just the it's not just the audio stuff now. Now you're writing, now you're doing video, now there's more, right? And you're getting promised more. Oh, as this grows, you're getting shares. You guys remember that? Yes. You're gonna get shares once we start to really blow up, and I'm like, oh shit,
Like
it's
shares of the company,
yeah,
not
yeah,
like sharing the pot.
no,
Okay,
like part ownership of, because you guys came in
It's
on
a
the
co-op.
ground floor. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I was like, wow, that was exciting. That was cool. And I could see that we were getting a lot more people on board, and we had 20, no, I'm estimating a lot. We had like maybe at least 10, 15 people at Philly, I think.
All right. Well, let me stop you.
Yeah.
So things at ComicsVerse were very, very incestuous in a way, in the sense that the people that were working there were also becoming very friendly, and we were all, almost every one of us was 25 or younger. Many of them were, early 20s, and we were drinking. We would meet up every Wednesday. Note, Wednesday's the same day that books come out. So we would have to get there on Wednesday, get the books, read the books, and then write or do video reviews. That is a huge grind. Notably, the Comics Pals used to do Pals pulls on Wednesdays, and it's rough. That's hard to do. It's hard to get your books, review them, have thoughts about them, and then come present them the very same day. So we used to do that, and it was brutal. And there was a lot of alcohol involved. There were other things involved. Um, and it led to a lot of situations where, you know, um, things could get uncomfortable. And Jay was very friendly, but he would get over friendly. And I'm not trying to suggest or insinuate that anything ever happened that was like illegal or anything like that. But certainly there were times when things just went a little too far. And because he was so friendly, but he was also your boss, when he would yell at you, which he would do, it was very confusing. Me personally, he yelled at me once because he wanted to have his friend do videos with us, but she wasn't a reader of comics. She wasn't, into it like that. She was just there and his friend, and he wanted her on camera. He put me in charge of setting the schedule for our Wednesday videos, but he didn't tell me that this person was coming. And so I was like, so what are we supposed to do with her? And he was like, figure it out. Like, what's the problem? And after that all resolved, he yelled at me, and I had never really been yelled at before by another person who wasn't like family. And I didn't know how to deal with that. And I also thought he was my friend. So I didn't understand why he was yelling at me in that way. And there were a lot of things like that, where if you didn't do what he wanted you to do, then he would take away from the friendship, or he would use the friendship as leverage over you. And it was very confusing. And we were often drunk or intoxicated in some way. And, there was just too much mixing going on. There were a lot of young people that had crushes on each other. And so that became a factor. Someone here said it felt like college earlier, and that's pretty appropriate. It felt like college, but your teacher is also chilling with you and asking you for dating advice and trying to give you advice on girls and talking to you about who's into who and who wants to have sex with the other person. And that's the kind of vibe that it became. It's very odd.
Very culty. It feels.
I don't know if I would go that far. I don't know if I would say cult.
Like a college theater.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Like maybe a little fratty.
Yeah. Fratty. But the leader of the frat is also one of your professors.
Yeah.
And it was very bizarre. I had gotten to the point where he had talked shit about me to one of the new interns. And after that happened, and after the pay issues and not getting the podcast that I was promised, I was about done. And so Pete and I mutually agreed that we really liked each other. and we wanted to do something together outside of ComicsVerse, because we felt that if Jay wasn't in the way, we could really do some amazing things. But Jay was set in his ways. He had very specific ideas about what was okay and what wasn't, but he was a decade plus older than us. He wasn't as connected to what was cool and interesting and compelling at that time. And on top of that, he didn't read weekly comics. He only read the X-Men. And his big claim to fame was how the X-Men saved his life. And that's all he ever wanted to talk about was the X-Men. But there was more at that point. Think about it. We're talking about 10 years ago. The X-Men were in the fucking dirt 10 years ago. So the only thing you want to talk about is a dead property.
This was just when, if I'm not mistaken, Rebirth had also just happened. Maybe it was just before.
Just
things
before,
were
yeah.
things
Just
were
before.
cooking though.
This would have been
like I remember that. Like
2016-ish, 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to leave. I don't want to be there anymore. It's sad because I made a lot of friends and I loved a lot of the people, but it's just not working out. This guy's talking shit about me. He does this all the time. He talks shit to me about other people. It was constant. He talks shit to me about Cale. And I'm sure vice versa was probably true. So this is the kind of environment that we were in, and I was ready to get out. But we had one more thing to do. We had one more event to do, and that was Philly Comic-Con. What was it called at the time?
Wizard. Was it the Wizard?
Wizard
one?
World
Wizard
Philly.
World.
Yeah.
Wizard World. Yeah.
Yep.
Wizard World Philadelphia. And so we're all going to load up into, some cars and take all our gear, our stuff, and head on out to Philly. Marco was there, Cale was there, obviously I was there, and a whole bunch of the other people that worked at ComicsVerse. Pete was there, Phil was there. I know you guys probably don't know who Pete is and who Phil is. You will when we get to the end of this story. So if you're lost on that, don't worry. This is another event where the leader, Jay, is going to stay in the hotel and not be physically leading us. I know he popped out at certain points. He did an interview, I think it was with Peter David. That was the one and only thing he did at the event. But mostly Jay stayed in the hotel. Now, this is where it gets a little, I'm not even sure if I want to go into this. And I don't think I do. Something happened. I don't even know how to talk about this. I'm just gonna say that something happened at the event in our hotel rooms that I don't want to get into, but ultimately it was the straw that broke the camel's back for me and for Pete. And it was something that Jay did, but blamed us for, that led to a problem at the hotel. And that's really all I'm comfortable saying.
Yeah. And the problem at the hotel involved like the two rooms, as I recall, like your room and the guys that you were with, and then his room.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was it for me when all that went down. But even at the con itself, there were problems. We were leading a group of people that don't really know how to do this. It wasn't all the same people from New York Comic Con, so there were logistical issues there. I was leading the group, but I was exhausted. This was very difficult to do, wrangling people, having to do my own interviews, having to encourage and uplift people that are doing interviews, some of them for the very first time. It was a lot. It was tough. What were your reflections of Philly? Not the end. I know that the way it ended for you, but like what were some of your reflections of doing the event?
I mean, it was exciting because it was new, but I was behind the camera, so I was very much focused on like the technicalities. And it's funny, I see some of my works though. Like I know which ones I shot, which ones are there, and I remember.
Because they're the good ones.
Probably, yeah. But I remember feeling proud about like getting the shots and doing the work, and so it was, and getting to do that with people that I've come to know and form relationships with and become friends with. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Philly was where I really bonded with a lot of folks because, I was in Brooklyn, and ComicsVerse was, Jay's apartment was,
Yeah.
way, way north. Was it Harlem?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I didn't go as often, but getting getting to go and actually spend time with people was really, really cool. That was where, I actually didn't care that much for Phil when we met. Um, because he had this like, I remember the thing that really set me off was he told us this thing about, about Facebook is what it was, is he flipped his first initial of his first and last names on Facebook so that people couldn't find him or whatever. And that put me off so much. And I don't know. It's such a dumb thing to be like put off about, but I was like, oh, this dude sucks. And the thing was, I bet it was also, he's a lot funnier than I am. And admittedly, that's probably what it was.
Dude, let me tell you something. Point blank. Every girl that was on that trip wanted to fuck Phil.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Everybody. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
For some reason, that shaggy dude
He's
was
got it, man.
he had the riz. Every
He's
girl
got it.
wanted him.
Yep.
He was the talk of the con in terms of ComicsVerse.
And Phil on the streets.
Yeah. And Phil in the sheets. No.
Yep.
That's
Well-
not to insinuate anything happened. Just
Just knowing Phil and sleeping with Phil.
but on the business side of it, that was the first time I'd ever done a creator interview, and I was sweating. I hated it. I hated every second of it. I hated preparing for it because I wasn't, and I hated doing it. I hated being in front of the camera and asking the questions that way. I hated it. I hate it to this day.
Do you remember who it was?
I think the one that was a major disappointment to me was I wanted to do Jordan Gibson.
Mm.
And ancient friends of the show will remember how much we were into Jordan Gibson. But for whatever reason, I didn't get to do that interview, and it set me off for the rest of the thing.
Yeah.
Because that was the one I was prepared for. I did Dan Doherty, and he's still a friend of the show, I think. And there was one other guy that I did, and he did like that's funny. He did like he had like a dinosaur comic and like dinosaur art and stuff, and I talked to him a lot about that, and he was really nice and really easy to talk to, and that was the first one that went really, really well. But after that, like I stood firm in I hate doing con interviews.
And so you left the country, so you wouldn't have to do it for the show.
You know what? I there is an element of that that's not untrue.
So Philly happens. Ultimately, it was. Oh, go ahead.
I didn't lean into my problem because this was why I left.
Get to it.
What different? So in Philly, to get to Philly, we had to rent a van that I would drive. Well, we couldn't use a credit card because I was an ex-college student and mine was full. I couldn't use Justin's.
Oh, I knew you were gonna do that.
I felt it.
Right.
I felt it. Yeah, I felt
it's
it. Did you-
Googleable. It's Googleable.
Well, Jay.
I couldn't use Jay's because it had his name on it, right? So I called my parents, and they let me put down money on a card, and we got it done that way. So somewhere in this, like, I'm frustrated because of the way things are going, like business wise. Like, we'd been CW Gordon says it is indeed very Googleable.
All right.
um Frustrated because of the way things are going. For for the weekend, I'm frustrated about a ton of stuff, and I was rooming with Marco, and I'm trying to text Jay about all this stuff, and at some point he starts going off about how he knows he shouldn't have trusted me to have a credit card that wasn't full. He made some really snide ass comment about, like, me and my finances and how I handled money, and it set me off. I I threw my phone down. I said, "That's it." And Marco was there. I stormed out of the room, and Marco went, "Wait, no." It was just like that too. He was like,
because it was like early in the morning or some shit.
it was the afternoon.
Was it?
Yeah. He said, "No, don't."
Yeah. Oh, because at that point, because you were gonna go have words, and that's right. And I knowing Kill at that point, I'm like, nothing I say is gonna change him. So I was like, no, don't go.
That thing had snapped, and so I went and I pounded on his door. Boom, 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 boom. And we screamed at each other for a few minutes. How dare you? Blah, 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 blah. Back and forth. And then he eventually overtook me. And then we like, things had sort of calmed down, and we went outside, and like, it was weird. He was like, "What's going on? There's something with you that's just like, there's something eating you." And it was one of those things where I couldn't quite put my finger on it, because I didn't want to say to his face, "Your business sucks and I hate being here," because I was genuinely having a good time, and I wanted to be there, but it was him that was the problem. So we split ways, and we go about the con. At one point they were having like memory card issues. I happened to have an empty memory card in my backpack. I was like, "Oh, here, we can use this." And he blanked me. We legitimately, like, I had an empty memory card that we could have used, and he blanked me. And I brought everyone home. we had these we had to like stuff these shutters. He had these painted comic book panel shutters. I can't believe you're not going to talk about this part.
I remember those.
Go ahead.
So he left early. We all had to, like, there were he had a friend come in, and I don't know their exact relationship. She was someone I had met, and had long been part of the company. Was a friend of Kale, and they were real tight. Another J, as it were. But she'd flown in from like DC or something, and the three of them left Philly together, like an hour earlier.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't believe you're not telling this part.
No, that's the part I was going to get into. I was trying to get.
Okay, hey, please. Sorry.
No, you do you.
Okay, so we I'm sitting in the unloading line. At this point, it's miles long of traffic, and I make the decision. I make the decision. This place sucks. I'm done. I am done. So then it starts absolutely torrentially pouring. I finally get up to the unloading dock. We have to cram extra people into the van on top of all the equipment and stuff.
Because he left early and there were supposed to be people in that car?
Yeah.
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 People and
Damn.
things.
And
Damn.
things. And so we had these shutters that got wet. They got wet and they got ruined. And there was no room for them. And we had to take them. And we texted him. We were like, they got wet. They're ruined. We have to do something with them. And he finally gave us permission to throw them away. So we pulled over at a gas station. And I pulled them out. And I went ham on these shutters. I punched holes in them. I broke them on a dumpster. And then we got yelled at by the gas station attendant for throwing away stuff that, you know, in their dumpster or whatever. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is so stupid. And the second in command guy, the guy that we were referencing earlier, took them. He was like, hey, it's cool. It's no problem. And then he went ham on these shutters because he was so mad at how everything went. And finally, we all just kind of calmed down. We were crammed in, but we had a nice, easy ride back to New York. I think that was that ride was the first time Sean and I really talked and chatted genuinely about comics. And I if I remember right, Batman R.I.P.
Was I even in that car?
Yeah, because it was me, you, and that other guy sort of in the front, and we were chatting. Yeah,
That's right.
3 in the front? How cramped were you in this car?
We were squished, and it was like a minivan.
It was a minivan. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
But yeah, it was. There were like 12 people in it.
So at that point, Kale and I did not get along. And at that point, you know, I didn't have good words to say. But we all were suffering because of Jay's behavior. Jay took his angels and dipped off and left us holding the bag. You know,
Yep.
all the stuff, like what, you know, you think about when you see a comic book creator at a Comic-Con, all the banners and all that stuff that they have on their table, you know, they have to lug that home with them. So a lot of times they drive their car right onto a loading dock, and then they take their stuff from the loading dock to their table and set up. That's how it happens. And Jay brought things to the con that he then didn't take back with him in his car. So this car was loaded up. And after everything that Cale had already endured, the fact that he got everybody home in those conditions showed me something about him that impressed me so much that it changed my mind about him. And the conversation that we had in the car and stuff like that, we were able to find a lot of common ground. So that was the beginning of our bond.
Shadow Walker just said, "Were y'all working for free too?" Man, no, we were working for shares. Remember?
That's right. Soon, promise, soon.
Were all 5 of you in this car?
Phil
was
lived
in Philly. Okay,
Yeah.
Phil drove people back to New York and then drove back to Philly.
Right, that's right.
No, he didn't. I think that's what was not to toot my own horn here, but I think that's what impressed you so much was like, if Phil had done that, he would have had to, because he had to work at like 4 a.m. or something. He would have had to have pulled like a straight all-nighter. And I was like, absolutely not. Do not do that. We will cram in. We will figure it out. I'll hold stuff in my lap if I have to. You go home.
Yes. Yep.
And Pete lived in Jersey, so he went the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And that was the last day that I personally did anything with ComicsVerse. I had a very, very weird interaction with Jay after that, a few, where he was trying to convince me to keep working with them and, you know, keep things going. He put me on suspension for what happened at the hotels. And
that's right.
wanted me and Pete and Travis, or one of the other guys, to pay for what happened at the hotel. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. And then he said, well, forget about all that and forget about the suspension. Just come back. Like, it's all good. And I wasn't willing. My heart was broken because my first love is comics. And I really, really loved the work aspect and I loved the people, but I just couldn't do it anymore. I wanted it so bad. So bad. I wanted ComicsVerse to be this. I saw this potential, but we just couldn't get it to happen because Jay was in the way. And I had to go. And it broke me. It broke me. I was very, very depressed. The 2 years that I was there, I didn't play World of Warcraft. I stopped because I was so committed. And I jumped right back in once it was over because I was depressed and I just couldn't see past what happened. And I was frustrated and, everything else. And I knew that just due to the culture, he was telling stories about me that were untrue at that point, and he was going to be dragging my name through the mud. So all those friends were lost to me. To this day, I don't speak to anybody that I spoke to while I was there. None of those people that I would have considered friends are in my life. All those relationships got destroyed. I don't know that really any of us, except for the pals, stayed connected after that. Some people continued to work there, but it changed and it never got the spark back that it had during those 2 years that we were all there. And I'm not saying it was all because of me or even Kale or Marco or any of that. Just that there was something about that group that was special and they never found that again.
Was it collective trauma?
Maybe. And I stuck around for a little bit longer because I was still doing some of the production work, and some of like the last bits of video work, and the environment had changed enough because I think they were essential people where they held it down more than others.
I had one more review. I think I was doing a set of reviews that like needed to be finished, and I was like, when I finished that, I was like, okay, I'm writing my notice. And then after I published that review, Jay sent me a termination notice or whatever, and I pulled the, oh no, you don't understand. I'm not fired. I quit, and here's why.
Termination? How? Were you like? There's no official capacity to any of this.
It was all bullshit. Yeah. It was all bullshit. And that was that. That was our time at ComicsVerse. My very last interaction with Jay was a couple of years after this, after he had deleted all of the articles, all of the reviews, all of the podcasts that myself, Marco, Kale, Pete, and Phil had been a part of. This was after we had started the Comics Pals. He deleted all of that. And I was trying to find work in the space. I wanted to, get a job writing for like Bleeding Cool or CBR. Like I had those types of aspirations. And so when I was trying to put my resume together, all the work that I had done was erased.
Clearly out of spite.
Yeah, I had no leg to stand on. And he said the reason, I reached out to him, I think. And he said the reason was because of some new partnership they had gotten involved in to where they couldn't have anybody on YouTube or on their website who wasn't currently working for the site. Total bullshit. That's not true. That's not how that works. But that's what he said. And so that was it. That was the last time that I ever spoke with him or interacted with him. And ComicsVerse died a slow death that finally has sort of fully been resolved within the last couple of years. And that's why I even feel comfortable telling this story, because the website is gone. He's long since not been a part of it. He had sold it to another person or whatever.
Well, it's not gone. I just bought the domain. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna ask.
Back from the dead.
Because we've joked about that sort of between us. But I didn't know if we'd actually pulled the trigger.
Live on the air.
So just to wrap this story up, because we've been doing this for a while and I want to move forward. I and myself and Pete had promised each other that we wanted to work together after ComicsVerse. So a few months later, we met up and we started talking about, like, well, what do we want to do? We knew we wanted to continue to podcast. So I went to his house in Jersey and we sat down, we had pen and paper together, and we were like, well, okay, we know we want to keep talking about comics. Do you want it to just be us, or should we reach out to some of the other guys and see if they want to, jump ship? So we both put together lists of people that we liked from ComicsVerse, what they could bring to the table, and would they be good for a show? And ultimately, we landed on Phil, Marco, and Cale. And the five of us had a meeting in New York to discuss this further, and that was really where the Comics Pals were born.
I have that picture.
Yeah, I just saw it on my memories on
dude.
Facebook. It came up.
And Marcus sent it to me. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Yeah. Discord it if it's
Yeah.
an okay picture for me to put on the stream.
And thus began the greatest odyssey of my life.
Yep.
Truly the best part of my life, week in and week out, is what we do here. And there's been a lot of trials and tribulations. Those early years, there wasn't much traction. We were really learning the ropes. And, there were a lot of things that God damn it, that Jay understood and had access to and resources that we didn't.
Yep.
And starting from the ground floor is very hard, and in some ways, having to be in that position taught me things about why he was having such a hard time himself with everything. There's so much more we could get into that we won't. But it helped me understand. But what I've never been able to understand, what I'll never understand, is why he treated people the way he did. Because you don't have to do that. I'm very glad that things went how they did, because we wouldn't have gotten here otherwise. And this is what I wanted. I wanted a show that welcomed everybody to the table, that made space for people who don't have a comic book shop to go to have the community vibe that you get there. What we had at ComicsVerse was that community vibe. But people that are listening to this right now might not have that. They don't have a circle of friends to speak with about books. And the internet is not what it was before. The CBR forums aren't as lit as they were. It's not the same.
Yep.
I wanted a place that the kid that I was when I was 14 and 15 and 16 and had nobody to talk to about books, no one to talk to at all. I wanted to create a space where that kid could have something to listen to and feel a part of it, and a community to be attached to. And that is what we have built here. And I am unbelievably grateful for that. I'm so happy that things worked out and that we're here now. And yes, we don't have the viewership of a comics Comics Are Dope, or of a go ahead,
or of a place that buys followers, and where the robots are clicks and
sure, or of a Comic Pop, or any of those things. We're not on that level, but I'm so happy for what we do have, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I really wouldn't.
The big difference, I mean, besides like everything, but for me, especially numbers wise, that number you see is genuine. Every single one of you that's subscribed, that listens, that interacts on Discord, that interacts in the chat, that emails us. We've got frickin' Paul pulling a truck right now in Northeast England. He's gonna listen to this here, and I don't know what, he's 4 years behind. But like, those numbers are real. We feel each and every one of you. It's genuine. I swear, it's like a spirit bomb. We know you're there, and it has fueled us every step of the way.
Yeah, especially the last few years.
Yeah.
100%. Whoa, Atomic Hound. Oh my
on.
goodness, with the $100 bomb. That is incredible. Woo! Thank you so much for that super chat. That is, oh my goodness. Atomic Hound says, wow, thank you for the origin story. This is an amazing community you have created. And then he adds a quote: things work out best for those who make the best of how things turn out. And that's a quote from John Wooden. Atomic Hound, thank you so much. Thank you to Mrs. Hound as well. You guys are absolutely pillars of this community, and all the things that you do
Holy shit.
on the Discord and in our live chats. That's the kind of thing that makes communities like this work, is having people who are willing to, answer questions, add their knowledge, give advice. When people ask, how do you store your comics? Atomic Count is always there. What do you know about the Legion? Atomic Count is always there. What are your reflections on Superman? Atomic Count is always there. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it grew a life of its own beyond us. Like, we don't even necessarily have to be talking in the Discord for it to be popping.
Yep.
I'm working and that thing is popping, and I had trouble keeping up sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Atomic Hound. That is huge. Really appreciate you, buddy.
You can now pay back that hotel room fee.
No, I can't.
Well, no, I won't.
and I won't. Yeah, fuck that. I know we missed a lot of comments. We can run through those. Thank you all for sticking with us through that story. I see that a lot of you, it resonated with you, because a lot of people have had the experience of being mistreated by a boss, and when someone perverts something that you love and twists you around it, and utilizes your love and passion against you to make you do things you don't want to do, and to hurt you emotionally, it's fucked up. And regardless of what you do for work, chances are you've had an experience that's similar to that. And so what I say to that is, fuck that. Bet on yourself. It's not always possible for everybody. You can't always make that decision, but if you can, you should, because you can do it.
Hit the bricks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And just literally just do it. Figure it out. You'll screw up a lot. All of us have screwed up doing this. But eventually you figure it out, if you just keep at it.
And there will be, hit the bricks also means you have to face the consequences of leaving and choosing to stand for yourself. And standing for yourself is a long, hard process that we had to learn, through 6 years of struggling and nobody looking at us and getting to this point. But we're here, and we couldn't have gotten here if we didn't stand up for ourselves.
And it's so weird hearing this origin story, because I've never heard this full story. But I heard bits and pieces as it was happening.
Yeah.
So it's weird, because my whole thing was happening on the side, outside of this, and now knowing the full context of it is interesting. It's interesting.
MP with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much, MP. Says, thanks for sharing your story. For me, it's been hard to find online comics fan content that isn't vapid praise or rage. It's refreshing to have a show which engages thoughtfully with the material. Thank you. Thank you. And again, that's always been one of the goals. It's not like I don't consider myself to be a master of comics knowledge. I don't think like that. I don't think I know everything. In fact, there are a lot of things I don't know. But I have passion. And I love this shit. And it means something to me to come and talk about it and share my thoughts with you guys, and the fact that you listen to what I say. So if I come on here and just say dumb shit, I'm not helping you. I'm not serving you. You know what I'm saying? If I just come on and say what I love and what I hate, I'm not doing anybody any favors. And that's never been our goal. Our goal is to have thoughtful conversation.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, even in a disagreement, like I watched Sean have a disagreement with someone in the Discord this week, and things got heated. But at the end of it, they came back together and they said, "Man, that was an intense argument. I'm sure glad comics are cool." Like that's it. That's all we wanted. It's such a hard lesson that you have to learn, but that's the community we wanted to have, you know, a place where people can disagree, but as long as you do it respectfully and engage as between human beings, you know, that's what we want. That's a community.
Mhm.
Civility to it.
Exactly. Man,
Sean,
go ahead.
not to get too far away from it, but my number one memory is somewhat related to Wizard World. Are we doing that now, or do you want to go through the comments?
I want to involve the listeners. Yeah, I think
Okay.
we
Cool,
should
cool, cool.
get them in the mix. We've been talking a lot here. Let's see if we can pluck some good comments out of the chat, because we've been rapping for a while. Let's see if we've got some comments that we missed out on. A lot of you wishing us happy 400. Thank you to everybody. That
Thank
is
you so much.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
really appreciate you.
I have if anything, a challenge for Catherine Stars. She's been in the community for quite a while and was talking about a potential 500 episode special. Write a fanfic. Kale and I are meet cute. I don't know, dude.
Are
It
you
was
seriously asking
grumpy at
for
first.
slash fic one of your best friends?
It was a rough meeting. They
Oh,
were
no!
at odds.
Adam Smith says, "I'll give you cash next time I'm in NYC. As someone that is self-employed, I'm over taxes / the YouTube tax."
I mean,
Yo,
Adam.
facts.
First of all, you're right. Second of all, we have to. We had the Discord hangout on Wednesday, and we talked about like New York Comic Con. If anyone's around,
Yo, yeah, maybe.
just saying,
Yeah.
you know, maybe
Pull
we
up.
could do a little hangout.
We'll be around. We're there.
we
We're on
will
the
be.
floor.
Well, I'm still waiting to get that email from them, but
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Adam, you don't have to give us any cash, buddy. You are a golden dude. Don't worry about it. And Bernie is golden.
If
Yeah,
you
just
let us
post more
pet your
pictures of
dog,
Bernie.
we definitely, yeah, we're square.
Brian Adkins, I've tried to get friends to do something like this, but they're either too busy or camera shy or whatever. Kudos to you guys. Yep, it is not easy. It is not easy. It takes a lot of dedication. Think about the day we do this. Saturday mornings, every Saturday for 7 years. That means that very rarely has there been a Saturday where I'll speak for myself, where I have just gotten to wake up whenever I want and do whatever I want with that day. I mean, luckily I love this and this is what I want to do. But if someone hits me up with a great opportunity for a Saturday, I have to pass. And that's
Yeah.
true for all of us. It's not even the morning where Cale is at. You know what I'm saying?
I've had family come in for a surprise, and you know I have like a young cousin who's 1 or 2 now that I've only gotten to hang out with like twice because she they show up just whenever they want, and that happens to be on a Saturday. And listen, I can't skip this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real commitment.
And it's not even a sacrifice. Like it is part of. I feel like it's ingrained now. In this is the task. This is the thing to do. We're devoting the time here.
Marco, like we I think all of us had figured out how to do this while on vacation too.
Yeah, that's right.
How's the sound gonna work when Marco's in Ecuador or something?
Yeah.
That would have been rough. That one I did not have internet where.
Yeah, that one was tough. Yeah.
Gore Vidal a bit earlier in the chat. Unfortunately, in the U.S., comics remain unappreciated by the general public as an art form equal to books, music, and film. Yeah, that low art, high art conversation. They understand the monetary value, but not the literary, artistic worth. And very, very much agreed. I think, but I think we're lucky to be in a community where people do appreciate it, and that's why we can have those kinds of conversations.
Catherine with the gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Catherine, and congratulations to Jedi Ty and Justin for winning those memberships. You guys know what happens when you gift a membership? Do you know what happens when someone in our chat gifts a membership?
An angel gets its wings.
A pal gets a membership?
Yeah. When someone gives a membership, that means that we gift memberships. So
Oh,
thank
okay.
you, Catherine. And now I'm going to gift 5 memberships to the community.
Uh-oh.
So let's
Hang
see
on.
who gets them.
Pals close out.
Too late.
Us
too late.
3 pals close
late.
out you 2.
William Maluk, Ride Everyday Photos, Pink Money Zero, Carrie Tanner, and Harris Peguero.
Peguero, dude, you're Spanish.
That
was
Peguero.
Quite Caucasian of you.
Congrats to you all that won. Hope you enjoy your timed exclusive videos and your green names and your emojis in chat. I want to see some pals heads in that chat, please. Throw those out there. Pete Collins says NYCC Comics Pals meet and greet. Might be the thing to do. I see
We
a
should
lot
do
of you.
a Wizard World Philly meeting.
I see a lot of you that live in the area and visit the area. Might be the thing.
I just want to call out Barlord earlier, who said they are quitting. They're working on quitting a job over a new manager and a toxic environment. Get it, girlfriend. Get out of
Oh,
there.
yeah.
We've got your back. Don't even worry.
Yep, 100%. You've got friends in us. All right. We have a lot of messages that you guys sent us for episode 400. Not just in the live chat, but to our email, to our Instagram, all over the place. And we are deeply, deeply appreciative of the fact that you guys did that. And so we want to take the time right now to put the spotlight on you and share the messages that you have sent to us with the group. Also, at some point in the midst of this, we are going to announce the winner of the Discord giveaway. What am I talking about? Right now, there's a post on Discord in the announcements tab that all you have to do is react to, and you will be entered to win a piece of merchandise. Think a shirt, a Comics Pal shirt, probably, or a a hat or something like that. Whatever we can do.
I'm looking at that announcements because you just had to react to it with an emoji, and I see Marco reacted to it. So Marco has entered our giveaway.
So if you are not a member of our Discord or you weren't aware, go there right now, react. That way you can make sure that you are entered into this giveaway. It will not function for anybody who is not a member of our Discord. And if you are not on there, there is a link to it in the video you are currently watching. If you are live with us, it is there now. Uncaged with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, bud. I'd feel so crazy spending the time and money on this without the pals, my heroes, and permission structure. Love you, man.
Quickly, just wanted to add, I have pinned that post in the announcements thread on the Discord. So if you're looking for it, it's pinned in announcements.
Marco gifting 5 subs.
Let's
Robert
go.
Cashaback. Congrats. Owen Harrison, Jay Sketches, Stymie Bear, and Freddie Lane. Congrats to all of you. Enjoy your videos, your green names, and your emojis. By the way, I love lurkers. I love to see the lurkers getting the gifted subs. I love it. It's awesome.
Aaron Ruiz called it out. Those are the premium lurkers.
Hell yeah.
Hey, that's all right.
Yup.
You don't build a spirit bomb without the teeny tiny atoms, the ones you don't see.
Yo, emojis in the chat.
Yes, please. All right, Tyler, you got some audio messages lined up, yeah?
I have one audio message and a couple of videos.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Videos.
So
great.
Roll something.
Yeah, so let's do an audio first while I have that ready. This one is from a friend of the show, Matt Sumo.
Oh.
Sean, Tyler, Kale, and Marco. This is Matt Sumo, co-creator of the Bardic Verses, available now at an LCS near you or at bandofbards.com. Comics Pals is truly a fantastic podcast with 4 of some of the best people hosting it. Thank you for your support of our book, The Bardic Verses, available now at an LCS near you or at bandofbards.com, and the comics industry as a whole. Thank you for making Pete and I feel so welcome when we were on the show and for being such rad individuals in general. Here's to many, many more celebrations and many, many more episodes. In closing, I leave you with this. Thank you for being our friends. Travel down the road and back again. Your hearts are true. You're the pals and confidants. Stay golden, Comics Pals.
That was awesome. I love a Golden Girls reference. One of my favorite shows
what I
growing
thought
up.
that's what I thought that was.
I was hoping for one more plug for the book.
I thought that was it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be good. It's like, and I leave you with this. Amazing, nice. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Matt. That's awesome. Bardic
Wow.
Verses, Band of Bards. Good stuff. Let's get to a written one if we can. Cale, do you want to tackle a written one?
I can. Let me pull it up. That will just take a second. You want to hit the first one?
Yeah.
No problem. The first one, as you can imagine, is from Atomic Hound. Hound says, I will have
Indeed.
more to say during the episode itself, but a heartfelt congratulations on reaching this milestone from both of us. You've become a staple of our routine, and we very much appreciate all the hard work you guys do to be informative, entertaining, and insightful. Looking forward to many, many more episodes. Atomic and Mrs. Hound.
Thank you both so much. Really appreciate that.
Ooh, Chad wants to know who's Blanche. I think it's Marco.
Yeah.
I'm probably Miranda.
All right. So hit us, Tyler, with another message.
How about some video, as
Ooh,
people would say? So you know what? Let's do a little follow up real quick. Hold on. This is all a little. Here we go. Yeah, let's do the other end of the Bardic Verses here with Pete Collins. As I get this ready, open with VLC. Come to my savior here. Okay, here we go.
What's up, guys? It's Pete. I just wanted to say congratulations on 400 episodes. That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, you beat some of the greats, right? Like Game of Thrones, they didn't get to 400 episodes. I don't even think MASH did. Simpsons did. You guys aren't Simpsons level yet, but you're close, kind of, sort of. But thanks for everything you do, and I really appreciate the support that you guys have given the Bardic Verses. I've enjoyed coming on your show a couple of times, even if you did make me draw the worst Morbius I could possibly have ever drawn. But I think beyond that, I really enjoy the deep dives you guys do into different stories, and the hard looks that you take at the comic industry as a whole, and it's always very informative with you guys, and I enjoy that. It's been awesome, and here's to 400 more.
Pete, thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that. We're not Simpsons level yet, but they're gonna have to end at some point, and we won't. So
I would argue we are, in that we have now become exaggerated parody versions of ourselves.
Fit in the
thanks, Pete.
molds.
Pete, the artist behind the Bardic Verses, by the way, which you guys should definitely pick up. Matt and Pete, the creative duo there.
And not, crucially, the same Pete as
Right.
the one in our origin story. I just want to clear that just in case anyone.
Dan with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Dan. Love this show. Love the pals. Love this community. You deserve whatever success and happiness you receive. Appreciate that, buddy.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Dan, specifically.
By the way, I just wanted to throw this out there because I didn't earlier. We're getting these super chats, which is incredible. Patreon is also open if you guys did want to join us on that side of things. Patreon.com/thecomicspals. There's no obligation, of course, but that is something that you can do if you would like to. Marco, can you handle the next written message?
Got you. Yep, pulled it up. Hendrik Perry. Hey pals, it's been about a year since I stumbled into your Saturday streams, and it very quickly became a goal to try and make it time for it whenever possible. Looking forward to the interviews, the rants, the insights, the mini games, the camaraderie, and of course, Marco having what can only be considered as one of the takes of all time, which I'm assuming is the solid take. It all gives me a sense of excitement reminiscent of the Saturday morning cartoons once did for my childhood. Your community is full of strong opinions, but surprisingly always with a sense of respect and curiosity over animosity and negativity, a rare find in this backyard we call the internet. One that has felt nearly as welcoming as one of my oldest friend groups. All of you, both the pals and the community at large, have inspired me to get back into comic book collecting and finally get to reading my backlog that I have left untouched due to some lame excuse like, quote, other obligations. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate that.
Thanks, Hendrik. One of the names that has become so familiar to me. I actually didn't realize it was only a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time flies. I'm gonna take the next one. This one comes from Dirk Manning. Dirk Manning, of course, comic book writer of Tales of Mystery and, Butts and Seats, the Tony Schiavone story, and Hope, and a bunch of other things like that. He says, "Hey guys, I just wanted to drop you a quick note to congratulate you on 400 episodes and counting of the podcast. To continue to see your evolution and growth, all while remaining such a positive voice and force in this comic industry, fills me with joy, pride, and even hope. Not only do I appreciate and enjoy the community to be a guest on the show once or twice a year, but I also appreciate your continued hard work as a fan of the comic book industry and genre. Sincerely, thank you for all you do. I look forward to 400 more episodes and 400 more after that, and perhaps even 400 more again and beyond. Much
Dirk,
love
I'm so
always.
tired.
Your pal in comics, Dirk Manning." Thank you, Dirk. It means a lot to me. I've known Dirk for a long time, over 10 years. One of the very first interviews that I ever did at ComicsVerse, actually. So I go a long ways back with him.
And
Long time supporter.
he's been in our corner since day one,
Yeah.
which is wild to think about.
Yeah. Love that. Tyler, what else you got for us?
I got more. How about we go down under? You cool with that?
Yeah, always.
All right, sorry. Pete's face is on the screen temporarily. 1 second here. While I open one from Jay Davies.
400th episode. My name is Jay, and I'm a relatively recent viewer. I only kind of got into getting comic books week to week, like going to the actual shop, maybe 6 or 7 months ago. I started at a pretty good time because the first books I was picking up were the start of the Energon universe, especially in particular Transformers, and when the Ultimate Marvel line started back up. So I was like super excited. I've always wanted to get into buying week to week, but I've just never really had the opportunity because I grew up. I'm a 21-year-old. I just turned 21. 21-year-old uni student.
Happy birthday.
So I'm in the city now, going to uni. So I'm in a much bigger area than where I grew up. I grew up in small town Australia. So there wasn't ever really a comic shop near me. So every time we would go up to Sydney or something, going to the comic shop was a big deal, and getting a trade paperback was a big deal. It was like I never had the ability to go and get books, so it was always a big thing for me, and I always wanted to. So now that I'm in the city and I could do that, it's been incredibly fun. And since starting just with Energon in the Marvel Ultimate Universe, it's ballooned out of control, and now I have about 18 or 19 books in my pull list month to month now. So the wallet's loving that. But yeah, I discovered you guys when I was listening to your podcast about the Absolute DC, their new Ultimate line, because I was interested in that when I saw your video and I was hearing the details. My wallet let out a silent scream in the back of my pocket, realizing how much more money I was going to be spending. But yeah, love the show. It's on my weekly listen every single week. I never am able to catch it live 100% of the time because I'm in Australia, so the times are a bit off. And like I said, I'm at uni, so I am. If I'm not at uni, or at work, I'm definitely asleep. So yeah, and also apologies for the noise. I am currently at work. I've snuck behind the counter to film this. But yeah, I just wanted to wish you guys a happy 400th episode. Yeah, good job, guys.
Bye bye.
Cheers, bud.
Wow.
That really touches me to hear from someone who is literally on the other side of the world, and a kid, a young man. Like, I remember what it felt like to be 21 and love comics and just like not have people to talk to and a way to share the love and passion. Like, I very, very much remember. Thank you for sharing that message. I really appreciate that. And thank you for being a pal.
Pray for
I
your wallet.
remember. Yeah, because the exchange rate there is not kind. I was looking that up to make sure my numbers were right, and like a $25 trade is almost 40 Australian dollars. So,
Ooh.
bless. But I remember waking up, living on that side of the world to do the show. So I feel your pain.
The sunset would come up, right?
Well, the sunrise would come up.
Sorry, yeah, the sun. Yeah, okay, that's how it works.
Yeah, I would wake up at 3 in the morning to do the show.
Rami with the $5 super chat. Congratulations on 400 episodes. Thank you for everything you're doing for the community. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. One of the people who's come on board more recently, but has really just like ingrained himself into this community. And I'd love to see it. Like, I love to see you guys just like throw yourselves at us, because we do it right back. Like, the community welcomes everybody with open arms. And it feels like a trust fall, but you land on, pillows and blankets and
The Stakoa.
yeah, that would be a soft fall.
Wow.
Messy.
Columbo, I didn't know you were from Australia. That rules.
Hey,
Oh, yeah, there you go. Tune in.
I love Australians. I have a special place in my heart for Australians from my World of Warcraft days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kale, can you get the next written one, please?
You got it. Is that George?
Yeah.
Hey pals, I've started watching / listening to your show recently, and I've loved it. Keep up the good work, guys, and happy 400th episode. Thank you so much, George.
Appreciate that, George. I love the new people that are listening that are sending messages like that. Like, barely know us. That's so cool. That's rad. Thank you.
Thanks for joining, man.
Sean, did you see the email from Joel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna read that one off.
There's also one more new one that came out while we were live. So
yeah. Well, why don't you jump in, Tyler, with another video?
Yeah. So this video is from Izzy.
Hey.
Yo.
Our buddy.
Happy 400th from the Spear of Justice, Izzy's Issues. I just wanted to say, pals, that I sincerely appreciate the community you have put together, so much that I lack the words for it. I've had a lot of major life transitions in the last few months, and I've only been listening since March, but I've had countless full-body laughs from the episodes, and so many meaningful interactions in the Discord server, talking with folks that genuinely read and appreciate this medium and not just see it as like an investment portfolio. So thank you for all that you do, all the effort you put into interviewing creators that otherwise get snubbed, and I just want you to know how appreciated and needed the space that you hold online is. Happy 400, and here's to 400 more.
Thank you, Izzy.
Chill, dude.
Yeah. Really appreciate it.
Man, just March means a lot.
Yo, that's crazy.
That was 3 months ago.
That feels crazy.
I mean,
Wow.
Jay sent us one. He only found us on the one with Rich.
Oh, yeah.
That was weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Love it. I really love it.
Yeah, but Izzy got in here and got elbow deep, and it feels like they've been in here forever.
Yeah.
And Izzy digs through the crates. Izzy is
Yeah.
is an archaeologist of our show. Izzy listens. Izzy hits me up to mention episodes we did like last year.
Yep.
It's awesome. Yeah, Catherine, it's crazy, right? Like it just doesn't feel that way. Atomic Out says I should have put this on your newsletter, Sean, but my sister just found a picture of me reading X-Men number 69, the
Nice.
reprint era after it was canceled before Giant Size number 1. I would love to see that picture. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Nice issue.
How many more you got there, Tyler?
I got one more video.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hit this last written one. Or at least I believe it's the last one. And it's from one of our oldest friends, Joel Justice. Joel Justice making a return. Joel says, "Hello, pals. Congratulations on 400 episodes. I hope to one day listen to every episode of your podcast because I really enjoy listening to your opinions on different things that have happened in comics. You are always very insightful into every topic that you talk about, and I feel like I have learned so much more about past comics news due to listening to the older episodes. I started listening to the podcast due to the first Jeff Johns interview, and since then have loved the podcast. I enjoyed being a Patreon member from February 2023 to February of 2024. I enjoyed getting to know more about you, and I really enjoyed talking to you guys on the Patreon comics. I respect you guys, and I love you guys. I hope the best for you guys in the podcast. May the podcast get to 500 episodes." From Joel Justice. Joel, buddy, sincerely, I mean this. You are a friend of mine. And thank you so much for all your contributions to this podcast. One of the best things that I get to say is that I have friends in this community that are people that, show up for me in ways that people in my real life don't. People that check on me in ways that people in my real life don't. People that listen to what I'm doing and have thoughts about it in ways that almost everybody in my real life doesn't. It means more to me than you can know that you reach out and we chit chat about this or that you reach out to compliment me about the show or anything like that. Even those of you who message me and we just talk about life a little bit. I love it. It means the world to me, Joel. Thank you. Thank you. I am the one who benefits. I am the benefactor from you being a part of this. Thank you.
All right, I got one more video, and there is one more email as well. So,
okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Where's the email at? Contact that? Or?
Yeah.
I've got it.
All right.
Cool. Yeah.
Kale, can you run that one?
You want to hit that? Yeah. Hey, pals. Star-Crossed Catherine Stars here. Congrats on 400 episodes. That's in massive red font.
Nice.
Yeah, she did a whole PDF, mind you.
Yeah, it's a PDF. It's not. Feels like it was only a couple years ago we were celebrating 300. Wait, it was. In the last 2 years, you've hit some monumental milestones, which I'm sure you'll highlight, but I want to highlight some of my favorite memories and experiences. Hitting not just 1K subs, but 2K and road to 3K subs on YouTube. Having a thriving Patreon and Discord community. Making tier lists and having us all lose it in the chat over some decisions. Cale having a near stroke over Marco's stance on AI. PKJ interview that not only taught me more about him, but inspired me so much and shot him to the top of my favorites list and winning the coolest prize after.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep.
Honestly, pretty much every interview has been amazing and rock solid, and I am so excited for more. Kelly Thompson, also top tier for me, thanks to y'all. Same. A personal favorite, filling my first long box with many, many floppies that you've all recommended through Pals Polls, a feat I never thought I'd accomplish. Another personal favorite,
a what?
Meeting three of 4 pals IRL. Okay, Sean, I've known for about 10 years, but it's still special. And Cale, I'll make it over there sometime. Nah, don't. It's all right. Not because I don't want to meet you, just that England sucks. And so many more amazing things that have happened, but I can't list it all or it would be too long. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for everything you do week in and week out. Sometimes my attendance is spotty because of school, but I talk about you all the time to friends and always trust your opinions on comics. And truly, I read more because of this show, which feels incredible. I love being part of the community, and I know that no matter how crazy life gets, as soon as I get online, I have community. I have so much love. I have so much love coming in for me, for y'all. That's special. I have never felt part. I have never felt more part of a community ever, and I love to see new names every time I log in. I'm so thankful for the people I've met and the creators I've come to know and love. It's insane to me the wicked growth you've had over the last few years, and I will remain the biggest cheerleader, even if you may not see it all the time. I'll see you at 500, where Sean will be dressing up in fancy garb, and Cale will finally get a backflip.
Nice.
I hope that someone gifts me a backflip. All my love and support from here to the furthest planets in the universe. Star-crossed Catherine Stars, and she did a signature there that you absolutely cannot see, but it's in bright blue neon font.
Thank you, Catherine. I mentioned earlier how, I get some more support from a lot of you guys than I do from people I know in real life. Catherine is definitely an exception. Like she said, I've known her for 10 years, and she absolutely has been a huge supporter of this. Back when, like there's 50 plus of you here live now, back when there were 50 total views, like, and less, she was there. And that's rare to find in a person, someone who's going to support you and get into what you do and rally behind you. I got people in my life I grew up with who don't do that. So thank you, Catherine. Really appreciate it.
One of the first members in the Discord, building the foundation of the community as well. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Hippo Bye High says, "Sup, pals? I'm pretty new here still. Congrats and thanks for the good times." Hey, thank you. I appreciate you. I love the new listeners. I love when you guys break lurker. When you break lurk and you make a comment like that, it fills me up. So thank you, dude.
Brian Adkins says, "Okay, I've watched a few videos, but if you could only pick one for someone new to watch, what would it be?"
Ooh, that's hard. It depends what you want. If you want an interview, Tilly, it's my favorite. Get the most insight. If you want a book club, Swamp Thing, because if you want an episode,
That far back.
if you want an episode, anytime we talk about, I think, the industry, the most recent one about Absolute,
DC,
yeah, like whatever your flavor is, man.
I would even say the one from, what is it? I guess it was last week. The Krakoa.
Yeah.
The Krakoa, the Krakobituary. See, even I stumble over it. It's my word. A clumsy portmanteau, but it's such a weird encapsulation of 5 years of podcasting for us. Like, even that capsule of a moment of X-Men comics was like like, it feels like such an era and like a good look at who we were and who we are.
I think I have two answers to this. One is the conversation that we had about it's the episode 373. Retailer speaks out on the state of comics, and that's when we had discussed the retailer Glenn, who everybody was hating on because of his opinions about the state of comics and stuff like that. And I just feel like it's a perfect encapsulation of what we are trying to accomplish, which is to cut out the noise and the identity politics and the garbage that I think comes out on either side of the spectrum, and just get real and have honest conversations about people and about comics and about passion. You know, so I would say that episode, but then also for me, the perennial is the Jeff Johns interview. I think that, you know, we were able to have a comprehensive conversation about the man's career, and I think it showed us off, but I also think it allowed us to show off one of the greatest comic book creators of all time. So to have that in our belt is incredible to me.
Hound also points out the Rom V interview when he tells Marco, "Let me tell you why you're wrong." Ooh, that felt good. Ooh, that felt good.
That was amazing.
And then my audio failed, so I couldn't even hear half of it. I had to fix my driver or whatever.
Which you really seemed like AI at that point too. It was like your computer was a paid actor.
Yeah, short circuiting.
AC Joe, congratulations on an amazing achievement, pals. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you being a part of this. Adam Smith going to send an email. Please do, and we will read it, unless you're uncomfortable with that. Uncanny Suit. Uncanny Suit says, "You guys are awesome. Can't wait to watch as this community continues to grow. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for being part of it.
After we get to 5K, no one is allowed to say they were here on the ground floor. But until then, we all can still say that. But there are tiers, if you will. Hope with the $15 super chat. Hey guys, it's Jay, and thanks for watching my vid. To have a comic outlet online to discuss, because my BF can only take so much. And yeah, the Aussie prices aren't kind. My 6 pulls this week cost me $50. Oh my God, I want to refund your money. Oh my God.
We did not have a good time this week.
$50? That is rough. Thank you, Jay. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I got one more video, Sean, if I'm going to throw that on there.
Yeah, please do.
All right. So this one is from friend of the show, BJ from Comics Are Dope.
Yo!
Hey.
This thing on? Okay, cool. Sorry, Comics Pals. You actually caught me in the middle, dead in the middle of prepping for Heroes Con, but I did not want to let this weekend go by without being a part of your 400th episode of the Comics Pals. So huge congratulations to you guys. Sean, Marco, Tyler, Cale, you're doing a great job. You're my favorite YouTube channel, but you knew that already because I said it in a video a week ago. Knew you guys were going to be great. Anyway, huge congratulations on 400 episodes, and cheers to 400 more. Peace.
BJ, man, thank you. Comics Are Dope is such an amazing YouTube channel. I'm a fan of a fan. He's a fan of ours. I'm a fan of his. BJ does incredible stuff. BJ just put out a video last week titled 5 comic book YouTubers I'm jealous of, and he put us at number 1 on that list. That's an honor for me, coming from somebody like him who does such incredible work on his channel, to be a fan of ours and to be jealous of what we do.
Nuts.
Please. And BJ, you are absolutely a pal. You are a pal for life. You have a chair here when you want it. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate you.
What I like about that video was that he edited it to fade out.
And he started with, "Oh, is this thing on?"
Yeah. Production
With that,
doesn't end
that,
anymore.
that smooth piece.
Yeah.
Ooh, crisp.
Knows what he's about, man.
Like, just listen to him. I don't need to take edibles. I'm good. I'm just chilling. Yeah.
Appreciate you so much, BJ. And I'm sure BJ would be here with us right now if it wasn't for him being at Heroes Con. And I'm sure that you can expect content related to that over on his channel, Comics Are Dope. They've got over 11,000 subscribers. So if you want to add to that, which I recommend, head on over and subscribe. So that's it. Those are the messages we've gotten. Thank you to everybody who submitted one for us. Really appreciate that. That is super cool. All that love, and all the love in the chat, the live chat, and on our Discord. It's all been incredible. I'm overjoyed by everything that you guys have submitted. We are not done. We are not done with the show. Brian Atkins says, "Wow, the past 2 hours has flown by." It happens every week.
Every week.
Every week. I'm like, how the hell have we done 2 hours of this already?
Yo, Flo's here.
We're not even up to the long part yet.
Hey, Flo Dameron says, "Congrats on 400, Flo." Thank you so much, buddy. Flo has been with us, I want to say a year now, and it's been incredible. Flo with the Bada Boom podcast that we love,
that all?
doing yeah,
Man.
doing great work on his own right. They've got an interview with Jeff Johns over on their channel as well. Lots of coverage of cons and things like that. Just great stuff. Thank you for being a supporter of ours. Again, fan of a fan. You're a fan of us. I'm a fan of you. Thank you so much, Flo. Really appreciate you. Go ahead.
D13CJ's back in the chat. What's up? Welcome. So glad you're here. They just say hello.
Thank you. Joe says the episode that I've come across that opened my eyes about this channel is a topic about the comic store owner opinions about writers. Y'all discussed it respectfully, without dogpiling. That is exactly the episode that I was referencing earlier.
Yep.
When Brian had asked which one stood out the most. Yeah. Thank you.
And
please.
Thank you to Catherine Stars for the $10. So much love for 400, a testament to the kind of community you foster. PalsVerse forever, and the PalsVerse is ever growing. So thank you guys for that.
Yes, it grows every time somebody joins at the I Shall Become a Pal tier of the Patreon, patreon.com/thecomics-pals. The PalsVerse grows, and one day, who knows? I know what my ambition is. My ambition is for there to be a PalsVerse comic book. And we've talked about that.
Yeah.
And one day, that might happen, and everybody who is a part of that PalsVerse will have a place there, enshrined forever. No one will ever be able to take this away from us once that happens. And someone who might even contribute to that one day is in our chat. Matt Man Begins. That is the aforementioned Matt Sumo of the Bardic Verses, who says, shout out to the chat and the pals. We might be knocking on your door one day to add to the PalsVerse, story-wise.
I'm still learning how to draw, though, so.
Oh, my goodness. I gave up on that when I was drawing Pokemon. I was writing and drawing Pokemon fan fiction in my school notebooks every single day of my life.
It's funny, Cale's still doing that.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Marowak Oscuro says, which do you think is the comic that attracted more people to the community?
Ooh, you guys might have to tell us, actually.
I think, in terms of growth, I think the Energon stuff, man. Energon and Ghost Machine have been bringing in people.
Yeah.
The Spawn heads. They're the ones who come in and go, hey, hold on a second. These guys have something to say about Spawn and other books.
We had a short flirt with Spawn, but we did get some views.
AC Joe says, if y'all did a comic book, what genre would it be? Well, if you're asking about the PalsVerse comic book, I think it would be all genres, because similar to the Marvel universe, the DC universe, it's got a huge and growing cast of you guys who are the characters that make up the PalsVerse, with various origins that run the gamut of genre.
That reminds me, I've been stewing on this for a while, because I had a lightning brain moment a few weeks ago. Speaking of the PalsVerse, have you guys figured out who you are in the PalsVerse? Like the four of us. Like, obviously we're not the heroes and we're not the, but to a degree, I think we are like the guys that watch, the watchers to a degree, but in various forms.
I have actually.
Please,
should I reveal?
Please. Yeah, absolutely, because I have mine and I'll say it too.
And I'm wondering if it's the same actually. I always pictured a Mr. Mxyzptlk situation going on for myself.
Oh, they're very much not the same.
Okay, kind of like I'm a, trans-dimensional being that comes in and just makes things a little hectic and interrupts everyone. So I think that works out for me mostly, and I get to wear a cool little hat, which I wear constantly. So I think that works. And my head is also pretty big in real life, so I think drawing that would actually work out. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Kale?
Yeah. So at first I thought, I feel like I might be kind of like a Jimmy Olsen type, like a photographer that goes around and like captures all these moments. And then I was like, that's just not it. It just doesn't feel quite right. And then I don't I don't remember what's caught this, what snapped it to my attention. But it's in my catchphrase. What's up, hot dogs? I'm a hot dog vendor. I see all this. I comment on it. I call out the superheroes. Hey!
You've been on the same street corner, and there's been destruction all around you, but somehow your
I'm
spot
still there.
spotless.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
my spot's still there. You want a dog? You want your usual? You got it.
Feeding all the superheroes across
yeah.
across the city.
I'm like a-
Paltopia.
I'm like an Astro City character.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
Yep.
looking up, going, "Whoa!"
There goes that spear of justice again. Jeez.
That's right. Went right through my cart the other day.
Marco, have you given this any thought?
Bro, I'm a villain. Are you kidding me, dude? I'm absolutely a manifestation of a rabid calculator who gained consciousness and became AI. Like, that's it. That's the villain. That's the villain arc.
It's a calculator that some teenager wrote boobies in too many times.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it became sentient. And that's it. And I'm here to ruin the distribution. Curse you, heroes! You'll never turn me back to a calculator.
Columbo is totally right. He says the lurkers in the chat are just regular people in the PalsVerse that haven't had their secret origin yet.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Me, I'm not that big on like writing yourself into a story. However, if I had to give an answer, I would like to be the storyteller. You know, the person that tells the story of the PalsVerse. Somebody has to keep the history, right? And so that's what I would do in the PalsVerse. I would just write it all down and make sure that future generations will know about these days.
But Sean, who writes you?
Whoa.
That's
I mean,
the-
I
that's
haven't
the
Soon to be
question.
discovered.
That's the question. We'll never know. Or maybe we will. Joe asks, if y'all are the gods of the PalsVerse, what kind of avatar would y'all be to not be recognized in the universe? Oh, geez. These questions are getting deep.
I'm a hot dog vendor. A hot dog vendor. That's
Cat.
I'm a writer.
Dude, I'm a calculator. I'm getting passed around math classes. Nobody knows. I'm one of those TI-89s. Nobody's gonna know who I am.
Marco's a newly rolling out Adobe Photoshop feature using AI,
Yeah.
slowly infiltrating all creative computers.
I'm the Apple intelligence.
Brian Atkins says, so Sean would be a watcher or maybe the Phantom Stranger. And that's exactly what I pictured for Sean. Yeah. One of the shadowy guys in Kingdom Come that, you know.
Honestly, Sean, I think you could pull off that Phantom Stranger outfit, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe. I've never known what to dress up as for Comic-Con.
No, hold on. Adjustment. You're Director Bones. You're seeing the
Hell fucking no.
Sees
Hell
all the
no.
strings.
Absolutely not. That is not
has
me.
all the questions.
Atomic Hound says Sean is, and I love that.
Yeah.
That is it right there. Dan, oh my god. The variations of the way to spell my name. Most people that I encounter, when they see my name, they say Scene, not Sean.
It's wild. My brother spelled the same way as you.
It just happened to me the other day at Midtown Comics, in fact.
Some people see my name and they say Trevor, and I'm like, you don't know how to read.
You didn't slow down to see there were
Trevor.
2 less letters there.
Saw first and last letter. That's all.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. Let's get to the giveaway because you know, we've been at this for a while.
Discord, right? That one?
The Discord giveaway.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So everybody has reacted. The time is now. We're gonna do this giveaway. Tyler, take it away.
Yep, I put everyone's name in there besides Marco's. Sorry. All right. And we got Adam Smith.
Hey, that's
Yo.
awesome. Awesome. Congratulations, Adam. We are going to send, what should we send Adam? Shirt?
Everything.
Just throw
Let him
throw
shoot.
the
Bra.
shop up at him. Be like, hey, what do you want?
A shirt, a
Shirt,
cup.
mug, bra.
Well,
It's on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a shirt would be great. But yeah, we'll talk Adam. Well, we have to give. Do we have a link to? Yeah, we'll have to get with Adam.
Good thing about the Discord giveaway is we know they use Discord, so we can contact them.
Exactly. Yeah, so we'll get to Adam on that one. Congratulations. We are going to. You guys are so fucking funny in the chat. Oh my god. We are going to continue to do Discord giveaways throughout the month of June because it may be our 400th now, but the celebration is the whole month. And so we are going to continue to celebrate you guys and do giveaways and things like that. So that will continue. But that's also not the only giveaway we're doing this episode, because one of us is also going to give away one of our picks. So we'll do that a little bit later on. Now, I want us to get into our final choices for the top 5 Comics Pals moments, our number 1 moments in Comics Pals history.
Number 1.
Who wants to kick us off?
I'm going to start because it's related a little bit to the story that we had earlier, and I'm going to take off my camera for a second, or the blur, the little thing, because I need to show this. But
you're gonna take off what on camera?
Hold on. I'm gonna check my little.
Yeah, we're live.
Adam sent an email our way. We will definitely read that. Adam, did you hear that you won the prize? You won the Discord giveaway.
This is a Plaid Klaus commission of Swamp Thing when we had gone to Wizard World, and this was the first ever commission I'd ever gotten.
What?
Yeah, ever.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
I still have it. It's on the wall, but it's also it's a memory of the time that we all had there. Just of us hanging out, us getting to know each other better. I feel like I cried to Cale like about getting that thing, because the first ever art piece that I've or one of, if not the first I've ever owned and gotten from an artist directly that I had a conversation with. And Plaid is a cool dude. We still catch up every once in a while when we're at a con if he's attending. Yeah. So that's a strong association because it was technically the first time the pals ever went to a con together.
So, in other words, your number 1 moment
was before the show.
From the show.
Yeah, before the show, but related to the pals.
Typical Marco. Also,
technicality.
To be fair, my number 1 is also from outside the show. Episode 2 of the Comics Pals. We had a guest. Do you know who has guests on episode 2?
Fools.
So if you notice on the episode, this is a twofold number 1. My wife, Jess Burton, was our guest. At the time, she was an editor at Titan Comics. She got to talk about what it's like doing licensed comics, and she worked on Doctor Who at the time and Assassin's Creed and all kinds of stuff. And it was a really great interview. The reason that was 1B. This is 1A. The reason this has always stuck out to me, and it's the reason we still give him shit about it today. The reason we had a guest on that episode.
Is this what I think it is?
Yep.
Yep.
It's because Marco did not show up because he couldn't show up because he was having sex.
It was a new relationship.
And he told us, he said, look, I'm having sex. I'm not coming.
He was coming, but
well, and that I've never forgotten that. We still give him a hard time about that, and it's the thing that will always stick with me.
And I'll say the convert, because a little peek behind the curtain, we do a monthly meeting where we all have conversations and we discuss what's good, what's bad, whatever, right? For the good of the show. And I remember that conversation of just like, we came in to be like, this is a serious endeavor, and on episode 2, that was an immediate infraction of that commitment.
My man got blasted.
Yo, and I had no excuse. I had no excuse, and it set the foundation for the rest of the show.
To be fair, chat's with you on this one, Marco.
I was so mad.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you were talking about the origin and towards the end, you were talking about, like commitment and doing this, and Kale's, I can't see my family that I care about because we do this every week. Marco was silent.
Said nothing.
That is very true. Oh my god, that's funny.
Columbo, catch you later, nerds.
I'm gonna go
AC
fuck.
Joe said, "Pals before gals, bro."
Oh jeez. Tyler, what's your number one reflection?
Mine's not nearly as funny. Mine was the Jeff Johns interview. Specifically, not the interview itself. The moment that stands out for me is us four waiting in the Zoom waiting room. The show starts at 10:15. We usually hop on 15, 20 minutes earlier to kind of like settle things, make sure the tech's working.
Warm up.
And this whole time, like we communicated with, it was Brian, right? Who kind of gave us the hookup.
Cunningham, editor extraordinaire.
Yeah. He, so it was like, all right, is this legit? I'm not sure. It was so like nuts that it was Jeff Johns, because all of us are fans, that it didn't feel real until he joined the call. And it was like, oh shit, this wasn't a scam the entire time. Because there was a part of us, I think, that was like, this can't be real. This can't be legit. And it was. And he shows up in Richard Donner's office with the Superman poster in the background, drinking a nice can of Coke. And chillest dude ever. It's like, sometimes you don't meet your heroes, because things could get weird. But like, this dude is freaking chill. Like, and it's what, 7 a.m. his time? I don't know how he's awake. I'm barely awake. And it was just like, okay, cool. I think and this is after a year of a lot of changes on the show too. So I think we were all still a little like, oh, all right, were the changes the right call? Is it working out? I think it is. I think so. And this felt like a confirmation that was like, no, this is working. And it was good. It was good to feel.
And I'll say in that interview, there was a moment, because I think he had it open on YouTube, where we'd be talking about whatever, right? A transition happened to another topic, and Tyler was on it with the image exchange, to the extent where Jeff was like, oh yeah, oh, and then like what's on the screen, and he's like, who's doing that? That's fast. Like that's good. Like what? Like what's going on? That's, like, hats off. Like that was the thing. So good memory. Hats off to Tyler.
I felt like a 1920s phone operator lady. Patch you in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my number 2, and an incredible validating moment for us for sure. And like the first big thing I think that happened since Tyler joined the show too. So, that was huge. To this day, one of our most, watched episodes. And there are people in the chat right now saying that that's their favorite moment too, or even Atomic Hound, who says that that's how he found us. So that was special.
Columbo as well. Yeah.
What Jeff did for us by showing up to do the show that day is something that we'll never be able to repay.
Yeah.
And he could have not. Like, he didn't have to do that by any means. Certainly, he didn't need the Comics Pals bump.
Right.
And, like, Ghost Machine wasn't even a thing yet. Like, he really didn't need to.
Yeah, he was just promoting Junkyard Joe.
Yeah.
And Geiger.
And typically, he wasn't doing podcasts either. So it was also a little weird. Yeah.
Brian Adkins asks, when did Tyler join? So I will tell this very briefly. We had the 5 people we started the show with. If you heard the origin story earlier, it was myself, Marco, Cale, Pete, and Phil. In 2021, at New York Comic Con. We had a great event. It was, everything pretty much went off without a hitch. It was very fun. But I personally knew that things were over. I could just feel that, Pete and Phil were going in different directions in their lives, and that this didn't fit the way that it had. And pretty quickly after NYCC, we began to have conversations about the fact that both of them, for their own reasons, different reasons, were ready to stop doing this. And that was one of the scariest moments that I've had in the history of the show, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew that I still wanted to continue. I knew that this was still something that I had a huge passion for. No, at that point, it had not yielded what I was hoping for. We hadn't grown. I mean, last year at this time, we had 900 or not this time. Last year, March, we had 999 subscribers. Last year in March. You all understand that before you have 1,000 subscribers, you're not even able to earn money. At least that's how YouTube used to work. Now they've switched things up. But we weren't able to earn money. Last year, we had less than 1,000 subscribers on the channel. 2 years prior to that, we had half of that. If we had half of that, we were lucky to have had half. So that's to illustrate to you how different things were and how much smaller they were. So at this point, I can't really blame Pete and Phil for wanting to leave, because it didn't seem like this was going anywhere and their lives were taking them in different directions. But I knew that this could be more. Kale and Marco agreed. They wanted to stick around. We knew Tyler from ComicsVerse. We met him and his buddy Matt over there, and they had very, small parts to play in ComicsVerse, but they started a podcast of their own called The Long Box. It was, our sister show. They started it like 6 months before we did. That ended. Tyler was looking to do something else. I was a big fan of Tyler's. I really liked the way he hosted that show. And I thought that it would be fun to have somebody on the show who was funny and engaging, and had hosting chops, but could also, like, if I needed to be gone, Tyler could do the job. But if I was here, then Tyler could be a funny guy. So it was like getting someone who could do multiple things. And that was without ever having any consideration that he could also be the person who would help us go live. He could also be the person who could handle thumbnails. Like, none of that was what we discussed at first. But once he realized, like, oh man, there is a need here, he stepped up, and that became the role that he played, in addition to being, a valuable contributor of his own perspective on the world of comics. And that was in 2022 when Tyler officially joined this podcast, the very first episode in 22, and then going forward. And we met Jeff Johns at the end of that year. And that was the validation of, oh shit, yeah, all this was right.
Yep.
Matt says, get you a man who can do both.
Hey.
And
We did.
I'm single, ladies.
Hey, let's go.
Might be preaching to the wrong chat here, though. Already know our YouTube analytics, but
all right. So my favorite moment, my number one moment in Pal's history, is not a moment. It is a segment that we did.
Flush down the chan?
No.
Oh.
That would be on a different top 5.
I got the button, Kale.
And for the longest time, my passion has been storytelling. I consider myself to be a storyteller. That's what I love to do. I love to write. I love to create worlds and all that jazz. That's why the PalsVerse is so important to me. I didn't really get to do a lot of that through the podcast. And I remember feeling frustrated by that. That, we talk about the news and stuff and we review books, but I don't get to express myself creatively. And I don't get to tell story. And I encountered something that I had only heard about in the periphery, read about here and there, but didn't know anything about. And that was Twilight of the Superheroes by Alan Moore.
Sure.
And I had opinions about Alan Moore that were mostly crafted by the internet, I thought of him as a curmudgeonly person who was just angry because a deal didn't work out in his favor and that he, couldn't let it go. And when I first read about Twilight, I was fascinated by the fact that this was something that I really didn't know much about and that I didn't hear anyone talk about it. Like, isn't this huge? Don't you guys care? Like, oh my God. And I put it as a challenge to myself. Can I learn about this? And can I tell the story of Twilight of the Superheroes, which really only exists as a document? It exists as a document that Alan Moore wrote to DC to tell them what he thought it could be, what Twilight could do, what it could accomplish for DC Comics.
Essentially a book report, right? It was not narratively told.
There were aspects of it that were narratively told, but largely it was just the facts. And so I made it my responsibility to take that and make it a narrative, spread it out across 6 or so weeks, and see if my thoughts about Alan Moore would be the same from beginning to end. And what I found was that not only was I learning a lot about the man and the way that his mind works and how deeply passionate he was about comics at that time. This is just around the time of Watchmen, post-Watchmen. But I also learned that he was deeply hurt, that his deep love turned into a deep wound, and that the passion that he still had for comics was all there in the document. It was there for me to see, and I felt excited that I was getting to tell his story. A lot of you guys connected with that. That deep dive was something that a lot of you wrote in about. We got a lot of feedback about how much you loved it. And it was the most validating thing to this day that I've ever gotten to do on the show, because it satisfied me creatively. And it gave me a window into that part of myself that I just don't get to express. But it also showed me that you guys care to hear that type of thing. And we've done other deep dives since then that have all been validating creatively, and you guys have enjoyed a lot. I didn't know that I would get to do that through this podcast. Yes, it wasn't my story, but I was telling someone else's story. And that is a piece of our history now that I'm never going to forget. And it was one of the true times of my life getting to do that. And I appreciate everybody who has, who that meant something to. So for me, that's my number one moment.
And John, that shit was fire.
It's good.
To put it eloquently.
At us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I mean, not the weird stuff with Shazam, but that wasn't your fault. That was.
I didn't write that.
Yeah. You just had to report. Yeah.
Yeah, Hound points out the DC implosion and the 5G files were also really great.
Thank you.
Yeah, those breakdowns, those deep dives were genuinely a breath of fresh air in environments, times where the news wasn't carrying as much, especially coming out of COVID, where we were so hot on, the business side of it, because the business was supposed to be dying.
Yeah.
We needed something to hang a hat on, and you found it.
Thank you. It taught me that we can stretch our legs and do things a little differently and break the format and just a lot of different things. It means a lot to me. Robert says deep dives are my favorite. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Joe Monday says, I like the diversity. Now you just need a female on board.
I mean, to be serious about that, we try to get a lot of non-dude voices on the show if possible with interviews. It is at least, I think, a conscious decision, right?
To be honest, speaking purely for myself, it's not. It is get the people on the show that are going to contribute and add value and allow us to learn more. And we would be ridiculous to not get Kelly Thompson on, to not get Heather Antos on, to not pursue getting these creators on. Tilly Walden. For me, the way my mind works, and I've always felt this way because I know how it feels to be a minority person living in the world. I don't want someone to seek me out because of my skin color. I want them to seek me out because they like what I have to say or because, I do a good job. And so my mind doesn't work like that. But I am looking to get people on who have stories to tell and are talented at what they do. And the women, the minorities that we get on the show is only a reflection of that, as far as I'm concerned. Kale, you seem to want to add something.
I was just gonna say, I think we are, and to a degree, always have been conscious of that, though. I think we do stand with Sean in that stance, but I don't think any of us would say that voice isn't missed to a degree. Like we would like to have it. It's just not something that we have right now.
Hey, if anybody knows a woman in the space that's really killing it, that would, want to hang out with us, please share.
Fifth chair?
Ah, man, I don't know about that.
Not even from our unease. It's just, I don't know if anyone would want to sign up for that.
Well,
Fifth schedule.
I don't know if we
Yeah,
can
fifth-
push Marco
oh,
out.
God.
That's what.
I don't know if we can push Marco out again.
Yeah, he'll go have sex.
There it is.
Uncanny
This
says
economy?
that's all you can afford to do. Uncanny Suit says your review of Twilight of the Superheroes was amazing. You really summed up why Moore feels the way he does about comics. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I didn't want to just tell the story of Twilight. I wanted to tell a story of one of the greatest creators that's ever graced this industry and how it pushed him away. Pete Collins says the Comics Broke Me episode was exceptional. A great episode that pulled back the veil. Thank you. That was a hard episode to do.
Yeah.
There's no way, right, that we can still do Jeopardy. I mean, my God, we've been at this for 3 hours, and we're gonna play a Jeopardy game.
It's gonna be long.
Yeah,
we can save it for 401, man.
We'll save it for maybe 402. But yeah, we just cannot get into that. It's been almost 3 hours already, and that game is gonna take up a chunk of time. So we're gonna put that on the back burner. But we do still have a few more minutes that we can chat with you guys. If you want to keep sharing your reflections on the show and things you enjoy, moments that stand out to you, please do keep the chat filling with those things. We do have another giveaway to do, though. Whose book are we giving away? I don't even know.
I'm done.
I haven't done mine yet.
Yeah, let's do Kale.
And Sean, we didn't do one last week.
Well, we did mine kind of.
Oh, yeah, we did. That's true. That's true.
So, Kale, what are you giving away and why?
So, at least when we talked about this was what I was giving away was Usagi Yojimbo, the Dragon Bellows saga, as I recall.
Is this something readily available to purchase, right, Kale?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I believe a new colored edition just came out.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna double
Kale's
check that.
picking something out of print from 20 years ago.
Usagi Yojimbo Book 4, The Dragon Bellow Conspiracy. Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
$22.99, tax included, shipping calculated at checkout.
There we go.
This is one of my favorite arcs of Usagi Yojimbo. If you don't know, Usagi Yojimbo is a creation by a guy named Stan Sakai. He is an American-born Japanese creator who, I think the story goes, he wanted to get Usagi done as a manga, but he couldn't get it into the market. And so he brought it over here and got it published and it's Usagi is sort of a contemporary of the Ninja Turtles. And it's he just rules. It's the story of a wandering samurai, Yojimbo, who goes around and man, he just takes care of business. The Dragon Bellow saga is the culmination of like a massive conspiracy where Yojimbo has to Usagi has to team up with basically everyone he's met so far in the book to join with the shogunate to fight an evil wizard, and it all comes together, and it's riveting, just great content. It's did I say it's all animals? Have I said that yet? It's all animals too.
You left out that key part, yeah.
Usagi Yojimbo is a rabbit samurai, and everybody's an animal. His best friend is a rhino with like half a horn. Tremendous stuff. Highly recommend it, and that's why I'm giving a copy away.
Awesome. So that is going to go to somebody who is with us live right now. Someone who is with us live now is going to win a copy of this book.
I was keeping a tally, unless you were too, Sean.
Sorry, Tyler?
I was keeping a tally of all the names that were commenting.
Oh, please do. Yeah, go for it.
Alrighty. Let's see. This thing's freezing on me. 1 second.
Wheel.
Dead Rising was commenting in the chat. Dead Rising wins. I don't know if Dead's still here, though. I don't know if Dead's still here. We'll see.
Yeah, don't know if Dead Rising is still here. Dead Rising may or may not be on our Discord server. So Dead Rising, make sure you get in contact with us so that we can, actually send it out to you, get your contact info, and stuff like that. So if you're on Discord, feel free to reach out there, but you can also DM us anywhere where there's a DM option, and we will get that taken care of for you. Congratulations.
You're in for a ride.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, I wish YouTube would open up DMs for people, but then I quickly thought against that.
Yeah, don't need that. You guys should see what's in our hidden messages. Whew.
Vitriol.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to read this comment that we got, this email that we got from Adam Smith. Adam Smith got one in. And I wanted to share his message. So he says, "Sorry for the late edition. I didn't really think about this until 2 a.m. today when I couldn't sleep and turned on the Comics Pals until my brain chilled out. Thanks for sleeping to our voices.
Dulcet tones.
Yeah. Comics and community have been there for me during my toughest times. Back in 2017, when my mom's cancer returned and had spread to her lungs, I would watch a lot of comic pop videos to distract myself in the hospital while my mom slowly passed away. The four of them helped me get through that shitty time. I sent a message to Sal saying as much. Fast forward to 2024, and once again, I discovered another great community in the Comics Pals when I needed it the most. My divorce was reaching its conclusion, and I had just signed away ownership of Bernie. I worked remotely and he had been by my side every day until then. I wasn't doing well, but having the four of you distract me and give me a sense of community helped me a ton. And you're being gracious enough to include Bernie in the universe reminded me when he wasn't with me that Bernie and I are still pals as well. Shit. I'm sorry, Adam. I didn't see the addendum to this. I'm so sorry. I did not know that. Hopefully you're okay. I'm sorry. I did not see the addendum. In any event.
Thanks, Adam.
Paul, yeah, thank you so much. That almost got me. I genuinely appreciate, the fact that, hey, we're all going through tough times. We've all got a lot on our plates. The four of us have been through a lot, that you guys don't necessarily know about, and are still going through a lot. Yeah. And this show and our connection, It really, really, really helps. It truly does.
Literally, like, you can see eras of the show where my beard might be a little messier than normal, because shit, we've all been through some shit on this show outside of the show. And then you just have to it's easy. I'll speak for myself, but it's easy just to be like, all right, this is the sanctuary area.
Yeah.
Just, all right, block all that other shit out, So, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I went through a not very messy divorce, but I went through a divorce while on the show. Pretty early on in the show.
It wasn't
it was
a clean
rough.
divorce.
Well, I mean, no, but logistically it was clean.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was. That's life.
Yeah,
It's just
as much as you guys come to find solace here, I think it's the same for us. Like, this is where we come to spend time. We have it dedicated for a reason, and like initially was, oh, this is a show to do with 4 of our pals, 5 of our pals, because we're hanging out and we want to chat about something we love, and it's grown from that. So thank you guys for giving us the space to be able to do it in a somewhat public forum.
I haven't lived in the same country as my friends for going on 10 years now, and being able to have a set time where I get to hang out with my friends and talk about comics and talk about the stuff that I like these conversations are more structured and more productive, and frankly at the end of it I feel more better than when I talk to family. Like, this is coming to church, man. Like, give me that 2 hours to just vibe.
2 to 3 hours.
Well, we're encroaching on time that we used to get made fun of when we started.
Yeah.
From who? Other podcasts? No way.
Well, podcasts we've outlived, I'll say.
Damn. Oh, ComicsVerse?
No, he's talking about my podcast.
No,
Nate says, happy 400th, pals. Thank you so much, Nate. Appreciate you.
Oh, we're so glad you made it.
Yeah. Matt Matt Sumo says, sending love to all those who went through hard times or are currently going through hard times. To quote the Crow, quote, can't rain all the time. It always gets better. And you know what? I'm glad you said that. Thank you, Matt, for that message. It is currently, this month has a lot of meanings, right? Like, there's so many things that June is, right? June is Pride Month. June is X-Men Month for us. It's Comics Pals Month. It's Listener Appreciation Month, but it's also Men's Health Month. And, we have all kinds of people in this community, which I'm very thankful for. But speaking specifically to the men, just for one moment, our mental health is extremely important. It's something that often goes uncared for. We don't take care of ourselves the way we need to. And I would love to send the message to you guys that, hey, take care of yourself. Part of this is self-care, right? Like, part of this community is self-care, and we use it in that way. And that's a beautiful thing. Lean into the things that help you. Lean into the people and the things that help you get through the day. Whatever that is, as long as it's a healthy thing, go hard. Because you have to take care of you. We are all ultimately responsible for ourselves. And the beautiful thing is that sometimes that can look like getting surrounded by people that you love and care for. You can jump on the Discord when you're having a bad day, and all of a sudden you can have a conversation about what you love with a whole bunch of people who need it for the same reason that you do. That's beautiful. I love that. I also wanted to send a message about Comicstorian. You guys all, I'm sure if you hear this, I'm sure Comicstorian. I'm sure that you have watched Ben's channel. Ben Potter is Comicstorian. I'm sure that you've watched his channel. I'm sure you know his name. You've seen his stuff. Unfortunately, Ben did pass away a few days ago. It was It was I don't have the exact day.
Monday
that he
or
died.
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, June 11th, I believe. And that's a huge blow. I mean, millions and millions and millions of subscribers and viewers over the years, 10 years worth of videos, a life that was lived full of passion, you know, for this medium that we love so much. And he expressed that passion in the biggest way, in a way that captured the attention and the minds of, as I said, millions around the world, to the point where his passing has caused articles to be written about him from all manner of mainstream media. You know, that's the force that he was, and that's the power that he had in this space, to where people outside this space knew him. Anecdotally, you know, in wrestling groups that I'm in and different things like that, I've seen people talking about the passing of Ben Potter. And that's a beautiful thing. It's tragic that he passed, but it's beautiful how people have rallied to support, to send their comments and feel things about the loss of a man who impacted their lives. You know, whether it's been Sal from Comic Pop, Robert Jefferson from Comics Explained, you know, channels who have deep connections to that man, who have been touched by that man's efforts. You know, he's helped build channels up. He wasn't just about himself. And for me, what I take away is value what you have. If Ben were alive, I'm sure he would say he lived his life the way he wanted to. And what more can you ask for than that? Than to live a life that's full of people and things that you love, that matter to you, living fully. That's all we can do. That's all we get to control, is how we live our lives. And Ben chose to live it passionately. And it touched us all. His passion did. So thank you, Ben, for everything that you contributed to this medium and this industry and this space. And we, the Comics Pals, are going to, you know, remember you and live out your legacy by continuing to do what we do, which I think is what Ben would want. So thank you.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
And to his family, all the love.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We got a $20 super chat from Kingdom of Nerds. Congrats on the 400th episode. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you, Kingdom, for being around and supporting us as you have for quite some time.
Wow, yeah.
It means a lot. That's really the note I want to go out on. The note I want to go out on is that comics are special. Comics are important. This medium is important. It has done a lot for us. We wouldn't be here without it, right? And thank you to everybody, every single person who supports us. Everybody, whether you show up every week or you watch later, if you super chat or you're a lurker, if you support us on Patreon or you don't, whatever it is that you do, however it is that you contribute to us, thank you. It means more than we'll ever be able to tell you. And I hope to see all of you here for 500 and beyond, because there's nothing stopping this train. Nothing at all. I'm doing what I want to do by showing up here every week with you all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We thank you. We love you. Until the next one, take care, pals.
See you next week.